in a off on Kentucky. And Vin agrees with her? Let's talk about it, y'all. Middle America.
And you ain't black.
The first time ever any...
What are you people? We're Americans. We are Americans indeed. My name is Vincent. This is Middle America, where we are not left wing. We're not right wing. We're just right. That's what I usually say. No, dear listener, we're not left wing. We're not right wing. We're just trying to figure out what in the world is going on in our world. And I'll put the ticker is right there, and we mean it in the ticker. Call in if you disagree. Look, we're in a situation where the folks at the helm, I don't think this is a conspiracy theory. I think we can all pretty much agree with this. The folks at the helm are trying to control how we think and how we perceive world events. That's obvious. There's nothing in my mind more dystopian than the fact that we have to rely on a billionaire to rescue us from the tyrannical machinations of other billionaires in regard to our speech, things of that nature. And obviously I'm talking about the Elon Musk situation with Twitter, but I do think it speaks to a larger issue, which is how do we figure out what the truth is? And I agree that it's irresponsible to put out information that you haven't vetted yet or that you haven't verified. But I don't believe that the solution is, hey, let's just deplatform everybody that 9 people disagree with, and that's the way to solve the problem. I think the way to get to the truth is let's all talk about the same issue. Let's look at it, debate it stridently, measure it, whatever you want to do, and then the listening audience can come up to their own conclusions as far as whether or not this is something that's we should believe or not believe. Now, having said that, I usually do not post clips from the Young Turks, but this time I will. Somebody said, "Hey, I think you'll actually agree with the big homie on this one." So apparently, I'm going to agree with that Anna Kasparian somewhere. I'm not sure how that's possible, considering what just happened in Kentucky, and considering what I assume the position she's going to take. My wife and I are unapologetically pro-life. And so I find it hard to believe that I'm pretty sure that Anna Kasparian is not pro-life. She's so-called a pro-choice person, so-called. So I don't understand, this particular viewer. I'm not going to mention your name because I don't want you to feel bad. I don't want anybody to feel bad about recommending a video. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you recommend a video, I think that's like one of the heights of participation, which is actually what we're really trying to accomplish. What we're trying to accomplish here is all of us participate together, and I feel like we'll have a better shot at getting to the truth. So with all of that in mind, I'm going to check out this video clip from the great Anna Kasparian. She is great. I understand people, have issues with her and TYT in general. All I can tell you is that I was raised a right-wing evangelical for my entire life. I discovered Bernie Sanders in the chair with Killer Mike, and then when I went to YouTube Bernie Sanders, the only place I could find anything relative to Bernie Sanders at the time in 2016 was the Young Turks. And so from that regard, I have a lot of respect and appreciation for the Young Turks. Now, because I'm so unsophisticated when it comes to politics, as far as like left wing, right wing, whatever, I don't really, in my mind, the Young Turks are still a progressive news outlet. I understand people disagree with that, but I still think the Young Turks is a progressive news outlet. And quite frankly, I mean, I truly don't care about, labels in the sense that, oh, they're not real. Young Turks are not real progressives. Only Jimmy Dore is a real progressive. I just don't think so. I don't think that that's true. I don't think that that's accurate to say. I think most things, and this definitely one in particular, most people fall on a spectrum of issues. And I do think in the main that the Young Turks are still progressive. That's what I believe. But anyway, it's not really for me to say because I'm a visitor in the progressive house. You see what I'm saying? So I don't really have any credentials really to criticize the Young Turks and say that they're not progressive. I mean, obviously there are things that they say and that they do that I obviously disagree with. I really thought the Jimmy Dore stuff was really, really ugly. I said what I had to say about it last year. I thought that was very ugly and a very low character move. But as far as their bona fides, I still think that they're progressive. Okay, having said that, dear listener, the time has arrived. Here's Anna Kasparian reacting to apparently Kentucky has essentially banned abortion. I've been in the abortion game for a while as a pro-life whatever. One of these days I'll tell you guys a story. We almost went to the Supreme Court. We had an amicus brief. We had about 4 or 5 states that basically recommended to Supreme Court to hear the case, and after a couple depositions and such. So I've been in the game for a while. So when people say such and such has effectively ended abortion, that's really not the case. Really, probably what they're talking about is one of the strategies is to make restrictions so onerous and heavy that because Planned Parenthoods and these other facilities are for-profit organizations, obviously they'll just shut the place down the minute black goes red. The minute they're not making a profit, they're out of there. So that's generally what people mean by saying shutting down an abortion in a given state. To my knowledge, there isn't a you can't do abortion at all for any reason, blah, blah, blah restriction. But usually what happens is strategic. And I've been in the back office in these discussions. They'll just pile on so many things that Planned Parenthood and the other abortionists will just say, okay, we're not making any money here, so let's just close up shop. I mean, that's just the way it is. Vin is pro-life for life. Yeah, I'm pro-life for life, for sure. For sure. Shout out to Tom Von Deck. So there's that. Okay. Tom, I'll interface with what Anna is Alex Jones from the left. No, she's not. Come on, man. She's not Alex Jones. Yeah, 100%, John. I'm against abortion for sure. Okay, here we go. Republicans ban abortion according to Anna Kasparian. Let's check it out.
Republican lawmakers have now effectively banned abortion in the state of Kentucky. Now, they did this by overriding the Democratic governor's veto of the legislation. So they initially passed the legislation, and at that point, Governor Andy Beshear's like, nope, I am not in favor of this. So
okay, so they voted for it. We got a midterm coming up. They voted for this thing, and then he says, nope, I'm gonna exercise my power and veto it. And they apparently overrode his veto.
He vetoes it, and at that point, they get back together, the state legislature, and they vote in favor of passing the legislation to.
Do you find Anna as a bitch, Vin? I don't know what the term means. I don't know what the term means in this context. I mean, she's a political commentator, and if she's doing her job right, somebody must consider her a bitch. Otherwise, she's not doing her job right. One of the things I actually appreciate about the Young Turks is that they don't pretend that they're neutral. So I find Anna to be disagreeable. I disagree with a lot of the takes that she makes, but I don't see her doing anything like over the top crazy that would warrant any sort of invective. That's just my opinion on her and the show. I'm not a ardent watcher of the Young. I don't watch a lot of them, to be honest with you. But shout out to the person that sent me this video. I don't watch a lot of Young Turks, but yeah, no, I don't find Anna to be a bitch, if you know, whatever that means. Anybody that disagrees with y'all is CIA. It's funny. I'm not going to mention that. Okay. Shout out to Amy Lee Forever. We continue.
To such an extent that it overrides his veto, right? You need a certain number of votes to make that happen. Now, let me give you the details on what the legislation entails. The new law, which by the way is now effective, it was effective immediately as soon as they overrode the veto. One of the most restrictive in the nation imposes limits on medication abortion, requires the cremation or burial of fetal remains, and bans abortion after 15 weeks of pregnancy. An exception is allowed if the woman's life is in danger. Wow, they're so kind. But there is no exception for rape or incest.
Okay, so it looks like this is one of those ones where it's we're just gonna pile, you know, a bunch of clauses and restrictions that make it so that your profit margin is going to be a lot more difficult. This is kind of weird to say, but the death industry, particularly burials, cremations, is an extremely lucrative industry. And so if you're in business to make capital, which the vast majority of abortion providers are, go check out Planned Parenthood. Those guys make buku dollars. Then obviously, you know, the costs, just the burial costs itself are gonna be such that they're just gonna say, well, we can't make money here, we're out of here. So we'll see. That's like I said, there are very few actual bans on abortion, but this is one of the strategies that are used, and apparently it happened in Kentucky to great effect. Apparently. We continue.
So if you are a woman who has been raped in a state like Kentucky, you will not be able to access an abortion in that state. You will be forced to give birth, to bring that fetus to term.
Look, I mean, at some point, if I can find a debate partner that you know, like I said, I've done debates on this channel about the concept of abortion. I mean, the first thing I'll say about that is that when my wife and I used to do downtown ministry, and the two biggest issues we ran into is fentanyl, which was killing everybody, and a lot of the girls that were down there, I always say 90% because I hate exaggerating, but I can't tell you of a girl that I ran into that was not sexually assaulted somehow. Especially in impoverished areas, especially when you combine drugs and poverty, the cases of sexual assault increase exponentially on young women. What I wish would happen when the assault issue comes up in this discussion from the other side is I wish they would talk about how 99% of abortions are not being committed because of rape or incest. And that's part of the issue that I have in this discussion is that we're gonna regress to the least common. We've done close to 60 million abortions since Roe v. Wade. And we're going to default to the least common instance in which a woman elects to have an abortion. And we're not going to talk about the most common reason by the Guttmacher Institute, Planned Parenthood, whoever you want to talk about. They never bring that up. we always go straight to the issue that accounts for less than 5% of abortions in America. And that's part of the reason why I think that this industry and this movement, bless God, is dying. Because that's not the reason most women are having abortions. And as I've said in other shows, it is not men. It's not men at the helm of live action. I've been in the street, and like I said, we almost went to the Supreme Court. The folks who are leading that charge where I am from, are all women. The vast majority of them were women, whether on the street or in court or whatever. Our lawyers, all of them were exclusively female. My point is that, you know, and we've talked about this, the rise of feminist pro-life, the feminist pro-life movement. I think until these folks start creating more compelling arguments, these things are going to continue to happen. You saw it under the Trump administration. You saw it even at the beginnings at the end of the Obama administration. The more people get educated on the topic, the more difficult these arguments that get trotted out, or these talking points that get trotted out, the more difficult it's going to be to land a convincing argument when people find out that the vast majority of women selecting abortions are not doing them because they're being sexually assaulted. That being the case, I'm not really a fan of the sort of callous response, because even though they account for a very rare number of abortions, they still account for something, and at some level that has to be contended with. Like I said, I would love to have a rational, reasonable conversation about this topic. That would be great. But because it, you know, obviously it's full of so much emotion on everybody's part, these things happen. Okay, we continue.
Among the most difficult restrictions to comply with this law is the new rule on fetal remains. The law requires abortion clinics to work with funeral homes to bury or cremate the remains of each aborted pregnancy. To comply with that law, the clinic will probably be forced to hire more people who can help facilitate an elaborate and medically unnecessary burial process for each abortion performed. And the abortion providers in the state do not have the ability to do it. They don't have the resources.
Which is what I guessed. I mean, I didn't guess that they were going to go the burial cremation route, but like I said, this is one of the tactics that you use. You just make the thing so onerous that they can't profit, because all of us know that Planned Parenthood and the rest of those folks, that the profit margin is what they're most worried about. Guys, at the end of the day, we're in a capitalist environment. Okay? I understand that at the ground level, for people in the pro-choice movement or the pro-abortion movement, whatever you want to call yourself, I understand at the ground level, a lot of us are idealistic. And keep in mind, the abortion industry is also a capitalistic boom for the pro-lifers. Because I've also been in back office conversations with legislators who told me point blank to my face, oh yeah, they killed a pro-life bill. They had the numbers and everything, and it was the Republicans. Is it Arizona? It was the Republicans who killed the pro-life bill because it would. You have things like Rock for Life, all these other things where you're selling shirts, where you're doing cross-country speaking engagements, you're doing all these kinds of things. The abortion industry benefits both the left and the right as long as it perpetuates itself. George Bush had a supermajority. He had the House, the Senate, he had everything. And he did nothing to stymie abortion, and that there's obvious reasons for that. So don't hear me saying that only the Planned Parenthood or whatever benefits from the abortion industry. No, dear listener. Everybody benefits and makes millions of dollars from this industry. There's lots of people that gotten rich on right-wing issues on abortion as well as left-wing issues. Also, as Tasco puts on, if they didn't have a pro-life platform to run on, they'd have nothing else. Correct.
But even if they do have the resources, even if
I do want to say this though, I say this all the time. Especially when it comes to this discussion, people tell on themselves when they start verbal engineering. When people start playing around with words and using different words, you can tell that they're telling on themselves. For example, instead of Putin saying, "I am invading Ukraine," which is what all of us are calling it, and I think however you feel about what's happening between Russia and Ukraine, I think all of us can mutually agree this dude invaded Ukraine. But what did he call it? He said, "Oh, we're launching a special operation." Right? So right there, okay, this guy, he's playing games with words. He knows what he's doing is wrong, or he knows what he's doing is going to be interpreted as wrong. So he's massaging the language so as to communicate that he's not wrong when he knows he is. So instead of calling it what everybody calls it, which is an invasion, he's calling it a special operation. Okay? So here, I just want to go back here.
Facilitate an elaborate and medically unnecessary burial process for each abortion performed.
Hold on. Here's an
Who
example.
can help facilitate an elaborate and medical.
Here's an example of verbal engineering.
To comply with this law is the new rule on fetal remains. The law requires abortion clinics to work with funeral homes to bury or cremate the remains of each aborted pregnancy.
The remains of each aborted pregnancy. What a strange way to say burying the baby we just killed. This to me indicates that these folks know that what they're doing is wrong. Most of us, my wife is pregnant. We say we're having a baby. We don't start speaking Latin when we start talking about our children. Fetus is a Latin term, simply means small child. And as we've demonstrated on numerous occasions, the term fetus simply means an unborn offspring of a mammal, in particular an unborn human baby post 8 weeks gestation. Okay, so this ban is a 15-week ban. My wife is 13 weeks and 3 days. She's 13 and 3. These folks are talking about killing children up to 15 weeks. And look, the picture on the thumbnail is the same picture, is an actual ultrasound of a 15-week-old child. It's literally what a 15-week-old child looks like. And so these people, instead of saying, hey, now you're going to make us bury these babies. This is a 15-week-old child. Okay? So head, hand, legs, etc. Instead of saying, now we have to bury these babies that we've killed or that we've disposed on. Notice it says the remains of each aborted pregnancy. I saw one of these folks say, an abortion is simply to end a pregnancy. That again tells me, okay, these folks know what they're doing is inhumane. Because you know what else ends a pregnancy? Childbirth. Childbirth ends pregnancy as well. Abortion is not simply the ending of a pregnancy. Abortion is the ending of a human life. That's scientifically indisputably true. This is why I said, I would love to have a dispassionate, non-emotional conversation with someone who supports this practice, so we can lay it on the table and the audience can decide for themselves the morality or immorality of said action. I'm not commenting on the morality or immorality at this particular moment. All I'm saying is, why do we have to use terms like the remains of each aborted pregnancy? Why did that lady from Planned Parenthood a couple of weeks ago say the products of conception is what she called the we reported on that story a couple of weeks ago where it's unbelievable, but the progressive, atheist, feminist, pro-life group that had about 115 of these babies and did burial ceremonies for like 100 of them or 110 of them, but then 5 of them were so developed, they were looking at 26, 28 weeks. They saved them and, in my view, strategically revealed them and created a giant news story out of it. I'm working on actually getting an interview with this woman. Obviously, there's some issues as far as her being able to speak right now or whatever, but that's the thing, is that these horrific pictures came out, and all the apologists for this particular action can say is the products of conception. What is a product of conception? That's a baby. And then they called it medical waste, which is really offensive to me. Medical waste? So, on the one hand, I don't think that these folks who were authoring this legislation, what's up, Lisa? I don't think the folks who are authoring this legislation care per se about burying the child. Although, what I will say, dear listener, is there's a reason human beings have funeral rights. There's a reason that every single major and the vast majority of minor cultures have burial rituals. There's a reason that when you look at pictures of the Holocaust and you see the Germans just chucking these bodies into mass graves and then just putting the dirt over it like they were trash, there's a reason that bothers us. So one of the ways you can tell an evil society is how they treat the dead. Or one of the ways that you can tell a group of people's position in a given society is how their dead bodies are treated. So, on the one hand, I think that this is probably some very good chess on the side of the pro-life side. But on the other hand, I do think, once again, that these folks are telling on themselves, because we have to use all of this coded language to get away from the bare, honest truth of what's happening. What's happening is we are killing children. We're killing human babies. Okay. And in order to get rid of them, you have to dispose of them somehow. And what these folks are saying is, well, how about we give these kids some human dignity? And even that we don't want to do. So, there we go. We continue.
To comply with that law, the clinic will probably be forced to hire more people who can help facilitate an elaborate and medically unnecessary burial process for each abortion performed. And
well, all burial processes are medically unnecessary, Anna. All of them are. We don't do burial rituals because they're medically necessary. We do burial rituals because they're psychologically necessary, because most of us value the person being buried. But what we have is a demographic of people, human beings in our culture, who are so devalued that even when they die, they're treated as garbage.
The abortion providers in the state do not have the ability to do it. They don't have the resources. But even if they do have the resources, even if they manage to,
Well, they do have the resources. They just can't turn a profit, Anna. That's the problem. They can't turn a profit, and they're in it to turn a profit. So, I mean, that's all that's happening.
fundraise, find a way to get some sort of grant from a wealthy lib benefactor. It doesn't matter. None of that matters, because turns out funeral homes in the state of Kentucky have no interest in working with abortion clinics. So this is the roundabout way.
Oh, that's interesting. That's very interesting that the funeral homes don't want to work with abortion clinics. I mean, would you? Here's this chopped up child that we just disassembled, and here you go. I understand it. We continue.
The state of Kentucky has banned abortion. And why did Andy Beshear veto it initially? Well, he says that rape and incest are violent crimes. They are. Victims of these crimes should have options, not be further scarred through a process that exposes them to more harm from their rapists or treats them like the offenders themselves. And again, I just want to give you the exact numbers to show.
Well, I agree with that. The problem is that I was talking to probably one of my favorite human beings on the planet last night or this morning, depending. And I said, sis, there are 3 stakeholders in abortion. 1 is the mother, 2 is the father, the 3rd is the child. There are 3 stakeholders in abortion. But only one of them gets to make a decision that's going to radically affect the lives of stakeholder 2 and stakeholder 3. Anna, I believe that sexual assault is wrong because I believe that women are created in the image and glory of God, and because of that, we should treat every woman as if she were God on earth. And so to violate her bodily autonomy for the sake of a man's pleasure is a very grievous evil. And if I believed in the death penalty, I would support the death penalty for sexual assault, because the scripture says that sexual assault is like what happens when a man falls upon another man in a field and kills him and there was none to rescue him. So I would support the death penalty if I was not a Christian for sexual assault. But Anna, abortion is wrong for the exact same reason. When a woman becomes pregnant, my wife is currently pregnant with a boy. She does not have a penis. A penis is not part of her anatomy. A penis is part of my son's anatomy in utero, who's cooking right now. That means the body that's being disassembled in abortion, Anna, is the baby's body. It's not the woman's body. So the baby's bodily autonomy is being absolutely violated. So while there should be the death penalty for people who commit sexual assault against women, why would we compound that injustice by then taking it out on that child and violating her bodily autonomy? These are questions I need to understand. But I agree with the governor, and I think if you're pro-life, just the quick dismissal of the rape and incest case, we know it's less than 1% of all abortions. We understand that, but we need it. It's clear to me we haven't done a lot of deep thinking about this topic. I'm talking about on our side.
How many of these state lawmakers have decided to be part of this manufactured nonsense about abortion in order to distract the people of Kentucky, in order to distract the American people from their inability to do anything of substance to improve the lives of their own constituents? And I'll make that case in a little bit, but here's what we're talking about. Late Wednesday, the Kentucky House voted 76-21, and the Senate voted 31-6 to override the veto.
I mean, guys, midterms are coming up. Politicians are politicians. I don't know if you guys believe that, all 31 or 72 of these people really believe in this cause. But what it tells me is that these people are pretty secure that the vast majority of their constituency agree with them here. That's what this looks like to me, because they got midterms coming up. And furthermore, I'll go further and say that they believe that these folks are so with them on this particular topic that if they voted against this, that their position of power would be compromised. So all I'm saying is it appears to me that the people of Kentucky want this ban, want this bill, and don't want abortion in their state. I mean, that's what it looks like to me.
And this 15-week ban is modeled after the 15-week ban in the state of Mississippi.
Just like it's awesome to hear men deciding what women should do with their own body. No, I'm not talking about what women should do with their body. What I'm talking about is not disassembling the body of another human being. Amy, we agree that the occupant of the womb is a human being. We agree that the occupant of the womb has a body separate from the body of the mother. We also agree that the human being being disassembled in abortion is not the mother. So it's a logical inconsistency to say that when a person is against abortion, they're talking about what a woman should do with her own body. No, what we're saying is that a woman does not own her child. That the child is not, just like in the antebellum period where the argument was, you can't tell us what to do with our property, re-slavery. The argument is we don't own these children. They're not our property to do with as we please. That's the argument.
Which is something that's been challenged in the courts. The Supreme Court is likely to hear about that case in the summer, but don't get too excited if you're under the assumption that they're actually going to uphold Roe v. Wade. They have signaled, because of the conservative makeup of the Supreme Court, that they are willing to potentially restrict abortions in this country. Inshallah.
When the abortion laws were passed initially in this country, people had no idea what we were talking about. People thought, oh, we're just removing a clump of cells. That's what people thought in the 60s, and I understand. They didn't have any understanding of dilation and curettage abortion. They didn't know anything about SOFR clamps and anything like that. So yeah, I mean, look, we've had bad Supreme Court rulings. Doe v. Bolton. We've had a couple bad Supreme Court rulings, and this was one of them. So inshallah, this gets reversed.
So I give you all of that to say, obviously I'm against this. I've been very clear. I've been on the record about that. But I think it's worth taking a look at what really ails the people of Kentucky and how those are the very issues that are consistently ignored. These are the very people who are consistently neglected by Republican lawmakers in the state, okay? So if anyone from Kentucky happens to stumble across this video, I just want you to get to know your lawmakers. In fact, I want you to get to know your state, because while these goons are specifically focusing all of their attention on this culture war, on this effort to control women's bodies, on this effort to punish women for engaging in sexual activity.
Again, I just don't think that these rhetorical, I think they're tired talking points that are not landing anymore, Anna. Talking about punishing women, things like that. Listen, when somebody hears, oh, this is the second most popular form of abortion. A guy goes in there with a SOFR clamp. It's this thing that's got teeth on it, and you pull out the arms, you pull off the legs, and then you grab the stomach and tear it apart, and then you go in deeper and find the head, and you press down until a white substance exits the cervix, which was the baby's brains. This is literally the second most popular form of abortion in America, according to the Mayo Clinic. Okay, is dilation curettage abortion. When people hear that and they see the results of that, after they get done that trauma, to come back and hear, oh, you just want to punish women, yada yada yada, it's not landing, and that's why. Women really are the ones that are leading that. That's why I said, I've told people abortion's going to be done in my lifetime. We're going to get that done. And then the next generation is going to look back at us in horror at what I just described. So using this term, oh, you're trying to punish women, things of that nature. Okay. All right. I just don't think that that's gonna land very well. And I've posted this a bunch of times, but I'll post it again. This is CNN. Open your eyes, pro-life feminists are everywhere. Okay, this is CNN. So, Anna, are you saying that all these pro-life feminists are out to punish women? Are you saying all these pro-life feminists don't want women to have autonomy over their own sexual pleasure? If I was on your guys' team, we would have to come up with a completely different rubric of engaging this topic, right? Because it's not landing anymore. It's not landing any. You can't tell a person who's heard a description of a dilation and carotid abortion, much less what they did to those babies in DC. You're gonna tell, and this is one of the things where I'll say, okay, when I initially we didn't break the story, but covered the story about the secular atheists, progressive feminists who were giving these babies burials and collecting the bodies and then holding them and then publishing the images of these babies. And people are like, oh, somebody snitched her out. I'm like, no, I think they did this. This is a coordinated attack. I think that they were in complete control from start to finish of this, and they planned this because a picture's worth 1,000 words. And if people look at that and they say, holy shit, and then they hear the sheriff say, hey, they were aborted in complete compliance with DC law, so no follow-up's gonna happen. People start going, yo, I'm not with that. They'll to your face tell you, it's like the Trump effect, right? Oh yeah, Trump, screw him. We're gonna vote for Trump. And then they'll write Trump in, and once people saw those pictures and then they saw the callous response of the DC sheriff and the Planned Parenthood DC and all the rest of them, how completely callous they were, using terms like products of conception, etc. Normal people are gonna go, look, man, I'm not with this shit. So just simply saying, just continuously regurgitating, you want to do this to women's bodies and you want to punish women and blah, 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 blah. I don't think that that's going to work anymore. You're losing women. You're losing women on this. That's a fact. That's a fact.
A lot going on in that state that deserves some attention. So let's get to some of those details.
Vin, I think you're vastly overestimating your position. When roll falls, the right will pay for it politically. I don't care. I don't care what happens to the right. Our country paid pretty heavily. You're talking to a guy who's a descendant of freed slaves. So I have a vested interest in reading the literature of that time period. No disrespect to you, but that's literally this. All the arguments that are used here are almost all the arguments that are used. You're gonna pay for this. Abraham Lincoln did pay for it, by the way. He paid for it, and I don't care. It is what it is. We continue.
According to data released Wednesday by Kentucky Youth Advocates, 205,000 children. Let me read that again. 205,000 children, more than 20% of the state's youth population, live in a household that earns less than $26,000 a year for a family of 4.
Holy shit.
And nearly half of Kentucky's children are living in households with annual income below 200% of the federal poverty line.
Holy shit.
And if you, of course, break it down by
Yikes. Yeah, cattle murder. He was killed. That's horrible. Hey, guys, listen to this again. This is about. Check this out.
With annual income below 200% of the federal poverty line.
Okay, so you got 205,000 kids. It's close to 250,000 if I'm doing my math right. which accounts for 20% of their youth population, living in households that earn less than $26K a year. I don't know how. I don't know how. Holy shit! How do you live on? I got sent on an assignment in. It's my first one actually. I got sent on assignment in Kentucky, and I was there for a year. I was anyway. And there are places in Kentucky that are, like I said, I was by UK, so it was a little bit more, I want to say affluent, but I mean, college town, you understand. I was in Lexington. But there are some pretty hard ghetto areas over there. I'll say it that way. But yeah, I can definitely believe this for sure.
And if you, of course, break it down by demographics, the numbers are much higher when it comes to black children. 42% of black children in the state's urban centers of Jefferson and Fayette counties live in poverty. The same is true for Latinx children in Fayette County as well. And they've got a problem with teen.
I'm a Kentuckian who's lived around or below that pretty much my whole life. What does our poverty actually have to do with our argument? I didn't know that you and I had an argument, Seth. Shit. I mean, that's terrible. So what do we have to help these folks here? Maybe
pregnancies in the state already. The teen birth rate is insanely high in the state of Kentucky. Let's take a look at that. Wow, 27.3 births per 1,000 teenagers between the ages of 15 to 19. But they want to make that number worse.
They were ranked 48th. I don't know if that means that there's like only 2 other states with higher teen birth rates or what. Here's my friend Amy Lee. Pro-life feminist makes as much sense as KKK BLM member. Amy, you're crazy. It's absolutely ridiculous. I'm not even going to get into that. We continue. Holy shit.
I would venture to say they're not in favor of sex ed. They're not in favor of educating teenagers to ensure that they prevent pregnancies. I'm sure they hear all the abstinence only nonsense, which clearly not working in the state of Kentucky. So
she's probably stereotyping. I don't have information right now to see if Kentuckians are only doing abstinence only training. Let me see. Abstinence only Kentucky. I don't know. Let's see. In 2018, sex education snapshot. It says, while Kentucky schools are required to provide instruction on responsible sexual behavior, including abstinence and preventing pregnancy, preventing STDs, and basic reproductive system functions, local school boards are responsible for identifying any additional curricula schools provide, etc., etc. So she's wrong there. They're not doing abstinence only education on sex ed, Anna. And the thing is, Anna, honestly, I mean, it's 2022, right? Back in the day, you and I needed, all that information. But now all the shit is out there on YouTube and all the rest of it. They know what an IUD is. They know what a condom is. They know all that stuff. But no, they're not in an abstinence only state. So I don't know why. I don't know why. That's their pregnancy rates are so high. Other than the basic, but there we go.
Now they're gonna do away with reproductive rights in the state.
Again, more verbal engineering. What do you mean reproductive rights? Everybody has the right to reproduce, Anna. What we're talking about, but again, these verbal sleights of hand only work for people who are predisposed to that position. If you go to a regular person and say reproductive rights, they say, what are you talking about? And you say, I want to be able to kill my child because my child is going to impede my ambitions for college and my career. They'd say, oh, what you're talking about is abortion. Just call it abortion. Why are you calling it reproductive rights? The act of reproduction is the thing that you're trying to eliminate.
Make that problem worse. The foster care system in the state of Kentucky is a disaster. Kentucky state lawmakers refused to expand their Medicaid program as part of Obamacare, just to make a point, even though they knew full well that their constituents, that people living in Kentucky who did not have health insurance, were now going to be denied that expanded Medicaid.
See, this is my problem. This is my problem. Because on the one hand, we say we're pro-life. And on the other hand, and like I said, I've been in the back offices with y'all, pro-lifers. On the one hand, you say we should respect the human dignity of these kids, and God calls us to care, to turn back those who are being led to the slaughter. The Proverbs say that you need to turn back those who are being led to the slaughter. I agree. And on that perspective, we're with the angels on this one. But then when the child is born, fuck you, kids, you're on your own. How is that consistent? How? Explain. I need one of you to explain it to me. Because when I was in the back offices with all of y'all, all of you had your whatever, and none of you could answer the question directly. And you're so quick to say the root causes of abortion are not sexual assault, rape, incest, life of the mother, fetal anomaly. We know that. Then we say, well, 99% of it is economic. Okay, then, since we know better than most people why these folks are having abortions, shouldn't we be the number one group of people pushing for an economic safety net, particularly for women and children? Serious question. Serious question. This is the part where, although I said the you want to punish women, control women's bodies, yada yada yada, that's not going to land anymore, and it's not landing anymore with this new generation of pro-life activists. It is absolutely fucking true for a lot of you. It is. Because I've seen y'all, and I've heard. Fact of the matter is, a lot of you are really, really massively fucking resentful of women. You are. And a lot of you are hateful, greedy, and you're not pro-life at all. If you were, to me, this is unforgivable. So let me get this right. You were planning on ending abortion in your state, and you've got all these people impoverished. You've got all these girls getting pregnant. You've got people in 4-member households living on $26,000, and consider that with the current rates of inflation that all of us are dealing with right now. So you got this girl making a $500 Walmart trip. Do you know how fucking expensive formula is? So you got this girl doing a $500 Walmart trip. You're not going to do a fucking thing to help her, bro. You know what she's going to do? She's going to get in her car and she's going to drive to Ohio or some other place and kill that child. And you are going to be partially responsible for it. Yes, you are. This whole radical individualism, oh, it's just her, blah, blah, blah. That's not how it works. We're all together as a country. I say this a million times. We are all responsible for this shit. You can't sit there and cry when the Star Spangled Banner comes on during the Olympics and say, oh, I'm an American. But then you're a radical individualist, and we're doing things that contribute to the destruction of human beings. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I did my externship for medical assisting in an abortion clinic, and it was a nightmare. I started pro-choice, and after 3 days, I was pro-life. Because again, the more you know and the more you see, the less and less and less pro-choice you're going to become. But this shit, holy smokes.
They don't care. You think they care? You know what they tried to do recently, just this year? They tried to cut unemployment benefits in a state that is grappling with an insane rate of poverty, not just for adults, but for children. That's what these lawmakers are up to. So for all the voters in Kentucky right now who are probably congratulating themselves on the fact that they took rights away.
So my brother rightly rebuked me and said, okay, well, make sure that you have you have your receipts before you get all angry. Well, here we go. As of March 4th anyway, there was a Kentucky bill that she's right. There's a Kentucky bill that would cut unemployment benefits. So the same people, because you have all this stuff in a docket and it's dated. So they knew that they were going to do this. So the same people that knew that they were going to do this, which is great, also simultaneous to that, were doing their best to cut any social benefit program, Medicare for all, Medicaid, whatever, and unemployment. This is unforgivable. It's unforgivable. And just like I said that these pro-choicers tell on themselves by their verbal engineering, these people are telling on themselves by their legislation or their attempts at legislation. This is the most... All right, we can take.
From women, how are you enjoying that poverty you're living with? How are you enjoying all the homeless kids you have in your state? This is your priority? This is what you're proud of? This is what you want? Let's take a little look at this video compilation of what Kentucky looks like.
Poverty has had a persistent grip on eastern Kentucky for generations. Its residents are poorer and less educated than any other region of Appalachia. And the impact on health is unmistakable. Life expectancy there is 5 years shorter than the rest of the nation.
Some of the most severe devastation has been right here in Kentucky, and paramedics who used to go days without a single overdose are now lucky if they go just a few hours.
There's the fentanyl stuff.
Paramedic Mary Taylor rushes to as many as 25 drug overdoses in a single day.
Thousands of people in Kentucky couch surfing, living in cars, and moving from place to place without a permanent home. And many of them are children.
Yeah, they love children so much. The wonderful lawmakers of Kentucky love children so much that they will crawl up women's uteruses and protect them in their eyes, in their minds. They don't give a damn about children.
Neither do you. I remember when you were all upset about those kids at the border during the Trump administration. You and Rachel Maddow there. You and AOC. There was a trifecta of you guys crying over those kids in cages. And now that Mr. Biden has the kids in cages, I don't see you crying, Anna. And Anna, I'm glad that you care about the kids who make it past the birth canal, but you don't care about the kids. You won't even call them kids, Anna, when they get killed in the birth canal, in the womb. It's the same being, Anna. So I feel like I'm stuck between two twilight zones. You got one group of people that'll look at a human being and say, yep, cut his throat and throw him in his medical waste. Then you got another group of human beings like, oh my God, don't do that to those human beings. Cut their throats when they get outside of the womb. Because that kid can't live on $26K a year. Doug, he can't. And they're trying to cut even unemployment benefits. They're trying to cut those benefits. So you're going to have this glut. Okay. So what do you think is going to happen to a single teenage girl at 16 years old? What decisions do you think she's going to make in a context where she has no social safety net? Her boyfriend just got fired. Her unemployment got cut off. They got nothing. They're very low educated. What decisions do you think that girl is going to make? That's not right. That's not right.
They salivate at the idea of cutting social spending programs in their state that help who? That help children. They do it over and over again. They propose it over and over again. That's what Kentucky lawmakers are. That is who they are. They don't care about a damn person, but they do want to point to something they've accomplished, right? And this is typical right-wing nonsense. They're not going to do anything to improve anyone's life, but they love optics, they love theater, they love presenting themselves as these culture warriors.
Yeah, but sis, this is not optics. They got it done. This is not theater. They got it done. So the reason I'm saying that is not to spike the football. The reason I'm saying that is because this shit is really dangerous. And Kentucky Democrats or progressives or anybody with a heart or conscience has to start pushing heavy for some social programs to help these girls. But you know what they're going to do? Planned Parenthood and the rest of those folks, they're going to spend so much time and effort trying to reverse killing these babies instead of investing the time, money, and effort into getting the social programs. How much do you want to bet, Anna, that a vast majority of the blue dollars and the so-called progressive dollars are going to go to fighting back against this legislation to get more abortions back into Kentucky versus helping those girls? I am sick of both of you. Both of you. It's sick. Both sides are sickening to me in this regard. The pretentiousness, the pretending that we care about these people. Anna, you don't care about these kids. You wanted them killed. And the Republicans obviously don't care about these kids. You want them living in squalor. And you don't want to extend a single red cent from your pocket to help these girls. Oh, personal responsibility. We're responsible for the children in our country. Many of you are God-fearing people. Do you honestly believe, do you honestly believe you're going to stand before God and he's going to say, okay, you voted against killing babies, which is common sense, but you also voted against getting those babies any sort of help whatsoever because you had another vacation you had to go to. That's going to be a great conversation. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. I really don't. Both sides, I don't get it.
That do nothing to expand liberty in America or their state. All they do is try to control people's lives. You're transgender, they want to control your life. You're gay, they want to control your life. You're a woman, they want to control your life. These are the people who have somehow successfully marketed themselves as lovers of freedom when their actions show that they are the antithesis of what they say they are. And by the way, that video got into drug overdoses, right? Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Anna here, but whatever invective Anna lays against these hypocrites, rightly so, have to be applied to her. They have to be applied to her because they're true of her.
Drug overdose deaths, for example, increased nearly 30% across the United States in 2020, but in Kentucky, they were even higher, increasing nearly 54% over the year prior. But hey, the lawmakers in Kentucky, they really do care about people's lives.
That's a real issue. And I gotta say again, when we were in the trenches, one of the things that we tried to get our governor, and our governor was LePage at the time, was to make sure that everybody was outfitted with Narcan. And that also that municipal volunteers would be outfitted with Narcan. He vetoed it. The Republicans vetoed it. I don't know if you know what Narcan is, but basically somebody ODs on heroin, fentanyl, and they're fading out. You can jab them with it, and many times you can bring them back and save them. He vetoed that. I had a guy, God strike me if I'm lying, this is a true story. I ran into a crew of dumpster divers. Basically, they left their homes, and apparently it's a subculture. They're homeless, they jump on trains, but they stay in packs, whatever. So I ran into them, built a relationship with them, all this jazz. And the leader of this particular crew, I'm talking to him, and I shit you not. I mean, like I said, God strike me, it's a true story. I'm talking, we're on the side of the highway, basically. I'm talking. His girlfriend gets up, pulls down her pants, and pees right on the side of the street, broad daylight. Okay? So I keep talking, I'm talking, whatever, we're talking, blah, everybody hug, kiss, whatever, pray for him, give him Bibles, whatever, and we exchange Facebook, we keep in touch. One of these days I'm gonna do like a story night, and I'm gonna tell stories about people So I'm talking on Facebook with the leader. I lose touch with him, and then I find him again on Facebook. So I said, "Hey man, how's everybody?" And he said, "Well, Sarah's dead." I said, "What?" "Sarah's dead." I said, "Who?" He said, "You know that girl that went up and peed and all that? She's dead." I said, "What the fuck happened?" They were squatting somewhere. They were in a friend's car. She starts ODing. Because they were squatters and poor, people called the cops on them, and I'm not mad for people calling the cops on them, whatever. She starts convulsing. I don't. If you've ever, it's a terrible sight. She starts convulsing, whatever. He had the Narcan. He had a stick. He had Narcan in his pocket. The cops rammed this dude on the ground. She's literally dying. He says, "Let me get up and get my girlfriend the Narcan." They wouldn't do it. He said, "Get it in my right pocket, okay, and give her the Narcan." They wouldn't do it. They let that girl die right there on the side of the fucking road. They let her die. So my point is, there are a lot of pro-life issues going on in this country. And in most cases, there's one side that's not really that pro-life, man. To be honest with you.
They really do. That's why they seem to enjoy watching their constituents suffer in poverty. That's why they do nothing about the children who are struggling with homelessness in their state. That's why they don't seem to care much about the children dealing with hunger in their state. Who cares about any of that stuff? Kentucky also has higher than typical rates of death from diabetes, heart disease, and cancer, according to the CDC. More than 15% of all Kentuckians have multiple chronic conditions, second only to West Virginia as the highest rates in the country, according to United Health Foundation's report from 2020. But remember, they didn't want to expand Medicaid because they wanted to make a point about how they don't like Obama. They don't like the Affordable Care Act. They love.
I don't really like when TYT does this. This is one of the things that really gets me is the acting like child thing. I'm not really a fan of that. And the reason is because it's a lot more insidious than we didn't like Obama. It's I don't want 0.5% coming out of my earnings to help these unwashed people. That's the attitude. It's not that they don't like Obama. I mean, they don't like Obama and they love owning the libs, but a lot of it is just plain old greed and avarice. It's not really that complicated.
They love protecting embryos, allegedly.
No Planned Parenthood will kill your embryo, because if you show up too early, there's not enough differentiation between your wall and the target of their assassination. So they will tell you actually to go home and come back if they're gonna get involved, right? Like, so morning after wise, there's that option. But as far as going into the clinic and doing the killing, which this bill is designed to take care of, they're not gonna do that. And they want you to do the abortion at Planned Parenthood because it gives them more money. Again, a fetus is a baby post 8 weeks gestation. Most people find out they're pregnant around week 6. Then you go to PP and they give you about a 2 to 3 week come back later situation. That's how it works, Anna. But once again, she has to use the term embryo. So we went from baby to fetus to embryo. She's got to do anything possible not to use the B word.
But it's not even about that. This is all about winning political points with evangelicals, giving people the illusion.
I do think that a lot of this is about earning political points with evangelicals in that particular voting base. Remember, the midterms are coming up, and it's going to get really bloody for, literally and figuratively, for Democrats. So, like I said, I think that this is an overwhelming zeitgeist over there in Kentucky. I've only been there a year, so I mean, honestly, guys, when I was in Kentucky, most of the folks I ran into were pretty liberal, and that's, again, I was working around the University of Kentucky, so most of them were really, really, really liberal. But once you got out of that little bubble, it was massively, massively conservative. And so, yeah, I think a lot of this has to do with that.
That they're working hard and governing. They're not addressing the most important issues in their own state. Instead,
here's AC 99. It's outright statistical fact that women die if safe abortions are not available. AC 99, please show me this documentation, number one. Number two, it's also a statistical fact that 100% of children die in abortions. So the idea that you could have a safe abortion is equivalent to a safe assassination. What does that mean? How can you have a safe abortion when the goal of abortion is killing? Serious question. I'd like you to call in for us to have a conversation afterwards. The video is almost over. There's 1 minute and 1 second left. We continue.
All they're focusing on is taking away your freedoms if it'll make their evangelical or right-wing voters happy. And for all those right-wing voters living in poverty in states like Kentucky, again, who are celebrating taking liberty and freedom away from women over their own bodies, by the way. I hope you enjoy living 5 years shorter than most Americans. I hope you enjoy your poverty. I hope you enjoy continuing to elect losers who keep abandoning you, neglecting you, and leaving you in the dust. Congratulations. I hope you like it.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support.
Okay. So then the truth came out. I hope you're happy living 5 years younger. So Anna resents those people too. Anna resents those people. I don't know that Anna hates homeless people, but you could tell she really resents those idiots over there from Kentucky. She hates those idiots over there in Kentucky. I do think that her I do think that her outrage though at this is kind of like the Putin situation, right? Where I say, listen, we're provoking this guy with this NATO expansion. People go, well, he would have done it anyway. And my response is, okay, take away the NATO expansion. And if he does it, then your point is proven. If he doesn't, then your point isn't proven. It's the same thing with the abortion discussion. People say, well, if we give health care and medical care and have a bigger social safety net, these girls are still going to kill them anyway. Okay, well, let's do it and then prove that to me. Until we do it, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Impoverished, uneducated areas will always be an issue. The problem should be dealt with at the root. Better education, universal health care, etc. I agree. And anybody who calls themselves pro-life, this is a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. Can we just admit that a lot of our issues with quote universal health care or universal education, forgiving student loan debt, if you give this girl a shot, maybe she won't be tempted to kill her child. But we've constructed a society where we tell these people they're on their own. So when people get put in desperate situations, they're going to do desperate actions. All right. Okay, here's what I'll do. If you have a disagreement with any of the positions that I took, I'm gonna put the call-in line in the chat, and all you have to do is click on that button, and we can have a rational discussion. And then we can talk back and forth and share our ideas with it. So I do agree with Anna that the folks, for the most part, who are claiming to be pro-life in this state are obviously not pro-life. But Anna is not pro-child. Here's AC99. AC99, I've already asked you a question. You said the statistical data proves that women will die if we don't have if we don't keep child killing legal in this country. Please show us the statistic that deals with that. The actual pro-life position is supporting legal abortions, but also supporting an economic and social soft landing for unexpected mothers. Any argument in favor of dead women and any other argument is favoring dead women and children. No, AC99, you're wrong. A pro-life position is that we don't kill people. That's what it means to be pro-life, is that you're against killing innocent people. I'm against killing guilty people as well. You can't be pro-life if you're for abortion. Words mean something. But by all means, my brother, come on and let's have a conversation. I don't have a problem. Just click on the link there, and you'll be able to share your thoughts. But holy shit. Really terrible situation all around. I'm sickened all around by the entire discussion, to be honest with you. How quick we are to just extinguish human life, get rid of people that can't, quote, benefit our society, whatever it is. We are a ruthless set of people, man. We are ruthless. And unbelievable. Cutting unemployment benefits. It's unbelievable. How's Sori? Sori's good. She's good. She's hanging out with our fetus right now. So, good Lord. There are statistics that illustrate this shit. It's not rocket appliances. Criminalizing abortions creates an equal number of abortions, but far more dead women. AC, you're wrong. You made a positive claim, so come on and back up your positive claim, because I'm contesting your claim that's completely unfactual. Please get us the data that says just as many abortions will happen once we get rid of Roe v. Wade. Show us this data. It's just not true. And I know that you're wrong, but I'm telling, show us the data. Anna was upset about the removal of anti-camping laws in Cali because it affected her personally sensual link. I mean, I'll check it out later. That's interesting. That's very, very, very interesting. All right, guys, I'm gonna put up the clock for 5 minutes. If anyone wants to contest any of the points made, then you have 5 minutes to call in. I'll put the clock on there. Boom, there's the clock. And when the clock strikes 0, I'll peace out. Not everybody wants to call in. Not everybody's comfortable with calling in online, so that's okay. But here is somebody. I'm not gonna say the person's name because I don't know if the person wants their name said. Hola, sir. How are you?
Hey, Vin. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly. Who is this handsome fella I'm speaking to?
My name is Jake Bose. I found your stream about a month ago. I love your work.
Jake, you handsome bastard. Okay, talk to me, brother. How we doing?
Hold on, I got you on YouTube streaming too. I gotta.
Oh, you double.
All right, there we go.
He can't resist his brother. He's got to see 2 or 3 of them.
So I'm confused. I loved everything I was hearing from you up until I heard the pro-life position. I gotta say, you've done some winning me over today.
Okay.
I'm 33 years old. No wife, no kids. So I don't know that I have a dog in this fight per se.
Well, you got to get on it, bro.
So
why do you not have a wife and kids, by the way? Because, like, I'm not joking. You're a very symmetrical dude. Like, no disrespect. You're a very beautiful brother. What's going on? You just don't want a wife? You got a career? What are you doing?
I had a career, and that sort of went off. Anyways, I'm not getting into my personal stuff right now.
All right. Go ahead, brother minister. Go ahead.
So I'd considered myself pro-choice.
Okay.
The verbiage you use about like verbal engineering of saying that an 8-week-old is a human fetus versus human, that's murder versus removing of cells. Like where does that begin and where does that end? So like I get that you're coming from like the technical point where it's like a woman finds out at 6 weeks typically, right? And then I heard this argument where they say, okay, you come into the clinic, they tell you to come back so they can do this, this very disturbing, visceral, ripping the head off, or I forget how you described it. It sounded horrible.
Yeah.
Something like the morning after pill, like, is that also murder? Are we like, is that this verbal engineering, or
Well,
where do you feel this begins and ends?
Yeah, I think I tried to stay away from the term murder. I might have used it in the video. I just used the term baby and killing. But here's where I land, right? Where I land is, as a black person in this country, and just stay with me for a second. As a black person in this country, it was told one of the ways that slavery was justified was to say they're human beings, but they're not human persons. Negroes are not, they couldn't deny that we were human for obvious reasons. But in order to deal with the, to your point, visceral ramifications of what the slave trade did to other human beings, we were told, yeah, they're human beings, but they're not human persons. So my line, and we've seen this throughout history, my line is, if it is a human being, we should not kill him or her. Now, I've got a very extreme pro-life position, which is if you were a serial killer that murdered 59 people and killed 78 elves on Christmas, there'd be a lot of people that would be like, fucking kill that guy. I would still say, no, we should not kill that human being, okay? So my thing is, what does the science tells us? Well, the science tells us that at the moment of conception that we have a completely separate human being. So we should not kill any human being for any reason. That's my position. So if the science tells us that at conception that we have a new human being, then I would be against the morning after pill. But
science doesn't. So I do a lot of science. So, like, science doesn't tell us definitions necessarily, like we tell ourselves definitions. So, like, this is why I get a little uneasy with this whole verbal engineering idea. That idea kind of cuts both ways, right? If we're going to say that we're doing murder after a certain number of weeks, then we're also going to say, if we try to change that language so that it's softer towards the idea of saying that a cluster of cells is getting taken out versus murder, right? Like, we're also doing verbal engineering the other way, it seems to me.
How
Is that
so?
fair?
How so?
Because I don't know exactly where life begins. Like, I don't know exactly what point it does become human. So, like, is it the moment that you produce this? I would think we both agree it's not the moment that the sperm, becomes. It's two things, right? It's sperm and egg. So it's not the egg comes in. It's not when the sperm is created. It's not, certainly we're not doing an abortion every month, just by having a period. So, like, it's sometime after the two meet. Yeah.
Well,
and at that moment, it becomes human.
Can you still see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Let me show you something. This is Princeton.edu. Okay. So here, because this is not really mysterious. So here's Princeton.edu. And this is not just one source. It's a collocation of sources. Okay, so here are the embryologists. Okay, let me know if you can see it on the screen. The developing organism from the time of fertilization until significant differentiation has occurred when the organism becomes known as a fetus. That's number one, cloning human beings. Embryo, an organism in the earliest stage of development. In a man, from the line of conception to the end of the second month in the uterus. Embryo, the early developing fertilized egg that is growing into another individual of the species. In the man, the term embryo is usually restricted to the period of development from fertilization to the end of the 8th week of pregnancy, which is where you go from an embryo to a fetus, right? Here we go. Medical Embryology, 3rd edition. The development of a human being begins with fertilization, a process by which two highly specialized cells, etc., etc., etc. Embryo, the developing individual between the union of germ cells and the completion of the organs which characterize its body when it becomes a separate organism. At the moment the sperm cell of the human male meets the ovum of the female and the union results in a fertilized ovum or zygote, a new life has begun. The term embryo covers the several stages of early development of conception. I would say that among most scientists, the word embryo includes the time after fertilization. The development of a human life begins with fertilization. I mean, I could just go on and on and on and on and on. This is not.
I'm not gonna argue with like scientific definitions. I'm just what I'm trying to say is it's like a feeling. It's like I get that visceral reaction when you say tearing off the arms, the limbs, the smashing of the brain, taking what would have been that brain matter out. Like I can feel that, right? Like that triggers something inside of me. But morning after pill, like dislodging of what was a cluster of cells unrecognizable as a human being is, I don't know, that doesn't trigger me, right? Like, so what I'm saying is, like, outside of the definitional stuff, I kind of don't accept being told, like, you don't care about life because you're willing to sacrifice, you know, what I would literally visualize as a cluster of cells. And I don't know that I'm willing to tell a woman that, like, hey, you're not allowed to get rid of that.
I understand your position, right? And I think for me, I'm operating on a principle, whereas what you're saying is, bro, that really hit me in the heart when you were talking about dilation and curettage abortion, right? When I was talking about, you know, this is the second most, I can get you Mayo Clinic, it's the second most popular form of abortion. You're like, bro, I would be against that. I'm not gonna make you say that online because I still want you to get married. I would be against that, but I'm not as emotionally moved about the beginning. And I completely understand that. My issue is I don't determine if something is right or wrong only based on, but it does factor in here. I don't determine that only by whether or not it makes me cringe, right? Like, because I'm trying to operate on a specific kind of principle, which is, okay, if we're dealing with a human being, we shouldn't kill him or her. Period. I don't care what stage of development they're in. Right, because to me, let me push it back to you. Let me push back on you though.
Yeah.
What if I hear, right? What if I hear about that form of abortion and it doesn't move me emotionally?
Well, no, I'm not. Yeah. So there has to be, eventually we have to get it down to the science and like strike a definition. But like,
well, what would you say to me?
I'm like, where my mind goes is, I don't have a good answer for you. Like people feel differently about all kinds of things. So it's like, and you know, obviously class is going to have a huge part of this. If somebody's impoverished, this is the thing that I'm trying to somehow hold in the balance is like, if we have these individuals, I don't know if, like, you seem to suggest that it's just like there is no evidence that a woman would actually go out and get a risky abortion if she felt her life would be so thoroughly, you know, destroyed, or she couldn't feel like she has the resources to support a child. Like, does that really not happen? Is that like everything we see in the movies exclusively?
No, I'm not. I didn't contest that it doesn't happen. What I was arguing against was people saying, if we do this, we'll have 10,000 women a day throwing themselves downstairs and all the rest. Like, that's just untrue. What's more likely to happen, and what we said would happen during Roe v. Wade, was this is not going to stay limited to a clump of cells. It's not. And sure enough, what we have now is fully formed babies at 26 weeks. I would advise you against looking at the pictures because you're a sensitive guy. Now we've got fully formed babies getting butchered and all the rest of it, right? So if you were but I do want to go back to you though and push on you a little bit. Let's say that I'm not moved by that description of a dilation curettage abortion. Let's say I don't care, right? What if I say, what's your name again, bro? Jake. I don't care, man. Jake. Too bad. Oh, whatever. Put the kid in the blender. I mean, I'm telling you things I've heard people tell me to my face, right? On what basis would you argue that shouldn't be something we should practice as a society if I'm not moved by it?
What's the punishment for the person?
What do you mean?
Like, what are you proposing we punish them with if they're this heartless?
Well, I'll get to that in a second, but what I want, because I said, look, scientifically speaking,
that's where we draw the line, right? I mean, this is where I get a little fuzzy, because it's like the whole, I get really cringy about this whole kind of gray area too, because it feels like, again, the war on drugs. It's like, oh, if you give the and this is, I know, different for all kinds of reasons, so it's not the same, but if you give any legalization of drugs at all, then people just go crazy. Like, they'll say that, you know.
Right.
And this creates all kinds of blowback to create these like hard laws, and it always comes back on, like, mostly on the impoverished again.
Oh, well, yeah, I could deal with the punishment thing. I'm gonna make you answer my questions, but I'll skip mine for a second and answer yours. This solution is really simple, right?
Yeah.
I do not believe in prosecuting women for abortions. Here's why. There was one girl that I met. She was about to have an abortion, turned her around, whatever. We started talking. Turns out she was a sex worker. Okay. And her boyfriend, and a lot of these girls think it's their boyfriend. It's not their boyfriend. Her pimp, obviously that's not good for business. So he was going to shove homegirl in the clinic and whatever. Right. So the reason that I'm against the death penalty for abortion or any penalty period with women is because of that. Because I don't know why she's in that circumstance, right? So then how do you solve the problem? The problem is very, very simple. These organizations are in it for the money. Very simple. So how do you solve the problem? All you do is you say, doctor, if you kill that child, we'll criminalize you. You're going to go to prison. And Planned Parenthood, you have other services that you do. We're going to fine you $1 million per abortion. That shit will end tomorrow, and no girls will be harmed, and only the rich will be threatened. Because the doctors live in the top 1% of the economic strata in our culture, and you know the directors of Planned Parenthood, all of them are millionaires. So this is a very simple solution. Is you tell doctors you're going to lose your practice, you're going to lose your license. You tell Planned Parenthood we'll fine you $1 million per abortion, and all of that shit will end tomorrow, and women will be safe. Nobody will have to go to prison.
How are the women safe? I mean, you just said that there's no social security net. We've got these politicians on both sides that are saying, well, we have to maintain abortion, but we have to also maintain austerity.
Well, you asked me, that's a very good way of saying it. I'm going to steal that line, maintain austerity. You asked me how to punish those people, right? And so that's how I would legislate law to punish folks without unnecessarily punishing overburdened women. Now, if I was and we're a couple years away from that, but I also believe simultaneous to that we have to attack as Amy said, and Amy's on the complete other side of this with me. We have to attack the root cause issues, which I think education is part of it. I think healthcare is part of it. I think student loan debt is part of it. And so what I'm advocating for is a double-pronged position, which is designed not only for human existence, because I think we probably need to rename these folks pro-existence versus pro-life, right? Like the folks in Kentucky, they're pro-existence, but they're not pro-life, because I think you and I would both agree that life also carries within it if we can smuggle in quality of life as well as existence itself, right? And so I agree with you. I don't believe that we should maintain these austere hyper-capitalist institutions and things of that nature in our culture. No, I believe that they need to be dealt with at the same time. Now that I've answered your question, I want to circle back and I want you to answer my question, bro.
Could you remind me? Sorry.
So you had a visceral reaction to the description of a dilation cure outage abortion. What if I don't give a fuck? What if I don't care? What would you say to me?
I'm not I would leave that to someone with more experience, because I'm just, like I said, I don't really have a dog in the fight. I just don't want to leave women holding this bag where they've got this horrible choice to make and nobody's going to back them up, and we're just now then forcing them into a terrible situation for them. So I liked your answer where it's like, okay, it's not enough to address this as a singular issue, right?
No,
but I would say, and I said this in chat, like, safety net first, then we'll talk about the abortion stuff.
Well, I think some of this though is, this was literally the same discussion during the antebellum period, because they said, don't you understand what's going to happen to our economy if we let these Negroes go free? And the abolitionists, like John Brown, was saying, I don't give a fuck. We'll deal with that later. You need to set these people free, right? And you know what? The slaveholders were right, because what happened after the Civil War? The South was completely destroyed, and we had to do a reconstruction project and give, this is funny, reparations to white people for their loss of slavery. Now, a lot of my folks don't like that, but the economy, our country would literally have been destroyed, because we went from the #1 producer and exporter of cotton. We beat South America. We went from that to being like ranked in the bottom 10th percentile, right? So if they didn't do some emergency action to save the economy of the South, we wouldn't have a country. My point is, bro, these discussions were happening in the exact same way during the antebellum period. Here's my question. During the antebellum period, all of the apologists, and I'm not saying that you're an apologist for abortion. I read you as somebody who's kind of caught in the middle of the two very fucking horrible situations generated by sociopaths. But during the antebellum period, these people were saying, hey, what's going to happen? What's going to happen to the slave master? What's going to happen to our economy? Notice they were not centering the real victims of the slave trade. So my question is, at what point are we going to center the actual victims of abortion? Do you believe that abortion is an act of violence?
Again, it's like it doesn't. It's not just visceral. It's like it's not human yet. At some point, and it's probably like 6 weeks for me or something like that.
Well, you've got an ascientific definition of human, right? Because we just saw what the science said about humanity.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Okay. So.
Yeah. So
okay.
right.
Let's do this.
Where my gut reaction happens. So.
let's do this. Let's do this. A fetus is a baby.
Okay.
We agree. Or
I'll take your definition.
Okay. Let's
fetus is 8 weeks. Fetus is 8 weeks, correct?
Yeah. Post 8 weeks gestation, which is where most
post
abortion.
8 weeks.
Yeah. So 8 weeks in 1 day.
Yeah. Post 8 weeks is a baby. I'll go with that.
8 weeks in 1 day. Vast majority of abortions happen at that stage, my guy.
I don't know if this is a good source, but Mother Jones has like statistically, it looks like a Pareto distribution where they say 34% happens within 1 to 6 weeks.
Mother Jones is not a good source. You want the Guttmacher Institute, which, by the way, when I quote the Guttmacher Institute is the reporting arm of Planned Parenthood. So they're completely in the bag with Planned Parenthood. But bro, let me ask you a question. Let's go with 8 weeks. 8 weeks, it's a baby. You agree?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Is killing that child an act of violence?
Yeah.
Has a child done anything? Has a baby done anything to warrant that kind of extreme act of violence?
Nope.
Okay. So what is a greater crime? Committing an act of violence against a defenseless child or having a woman be in a bad financial situation? What's a greater...
That child... I don't know. That child doesn't have like complex thought. That child... Do babies feel pain at 8 weeks?
Neither do mentally retarded people, right? If you got somebody with like serious mental retardation, they don't have complex thoughts either. Can we kill them?
No.
Well, some people would say we should be able to kill them, right? I've talked to people that told me that.
Yeah, I saw 300.
Okay. So my question is, in all these discussions, I am very worried about the state of a lot of this, bro, has to do with the fact that my mom many times was single, back and forth with the marriage situation.
Okay. But like,
just give me a second.
All right.
Give me a second. My mother was a single woman, struggled a lot. We were in homeless shelters in the dead of winter, that type of thing. So when I talk about being under financial duress, like I'm speaking as a kid from experience. I spent Christmas in a homeless shelter. And don't feel bad for me. I mean, they gave us presents and they gave us a warm meal and all the rest of it, right? So my point is, I'm not speaking from a position of privilege. I'm speaking as a person who's endured this thing, right? My question is, in these discussions, how comes we never really center the victim of violence in this discussion?
Because there's this idea that like you're taking away like a human's, like the entirety of a human's life, which I don't know. I gotta do some thinking on. I guess it's like at some point, if there's no formulated thought, if there's no formulated, like my conception of human doesn't begin at when the cells start reproducing. That seems like too clinical to me. It begins at something to do with like the ability to feel or express love or something like that instead, not to get too mushy, but and that just like so
Okay,
then the
can
8
an,
weeks
can an 8-month-old can an 8-month-old in the womb feel and express love?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, you just got me.
Can I tell you something? Can I tell you something? I'll send you the link later. There's a paper written by this woman named Francesca Minerva and her partner Martino Gubalini, and the name of the paper is After Birth Abortion: Why Should the Baby Live? And I shit you not, this woman literally said that we should be able to kill a child outside the womb in the first 3 weeks for the same reason we should be able to kill a child inside the womb. She doesn't believe that newborn babies are persons because they don't have a concept of the future and they cannot develop plans and aims that can be thwarted by its death. I'm pretty sure that's a direct quote.
At the point where it's like, at the point where society could like potentially, like if we had a nice healthy society, at the point at which society could take over taking care of that child, I think that's just, that is like horribly, wickedly inhumane to me at that point.
Yeah, but she's saying it's not a person because it doesn't have a conception of the future that can be thwarted by its death. She's a bioethicist, by the way, with a PhD.
Yeah, so I'm then pulling on like we've got to take the woman's considerations into account, and I don't know what to do about this edge case that you're throwing me, where it's like, well, the woman just doesn't give a shit about the sanctity of life.
What do you mean the edge case?
Is that not an edge case? There's just these women that are like using abortion like it's contraceptive?
Well, I didn't say that women don't care about life. I'm saying that we as a society don't care about life. I'm not going to put that on women.
Well, so maybe I'm wrong here, and you can clear
none of
this
us
up
care
for me.
about
It's
life,
like,
obviously.
I'm always under the impression that the choice to get an abortion is not something that women take lightly.
I agree with you. I mean, I will go further and say a lot of the girls that I've talked to, it wasn't their choice. The girl that's being trafficked, for one. There's another one where she got pregnant with her third kid. Her boyfriend broke up with her, kicked her out of the house. She wanted to move in with her dad. Her dad said, listen, I'm on state aid. You got 2 kids, so I can take your 2 kids, or you can spend winter in Maine in your car. I don't believe that was a choice.
So this is where I don't know how to make a blanket policy for that. Right, for like, and on all the other horrific, decisions that these women have to make. Like, I don't know the statistics on this part. Like, I don't know what percentage of the women are in that situation versus this, what I thought would have been an extreme where they're just saying, I don't give a fuck about the kid, throw it in a blender, as you said.
Well, the vast majority of it is this child is going to impede my career or my educational aspirations.
Yeah, that's not like, if somebody has the means, then like, that doesn't feel good enough to me. So
yeah, but bro, that's the world that you live in, though.
Yeah, I hate the world that I live in. And I didn't make this world. What do you?
Yeah, but you're in it now, right? You're in it now, and we're responsible.
I only got so much agency, man. I can only try to live my life in the principles that I got. What do you want me to do? Talk to God? Maybe later.
Well, maybe inshallah, But I think that our generation is uniquely equipped to actually do something. Even this conversation, if it changes one mind or gets one person to question themselves, because that's my goal in a lot of this, is just to question yourself. Then that's part of the battle. But I'll tell you this: if I had a magic wand, the genie said you can have 2 wishes. Wish number 1: we cannot commit acts of violence against defenseless babies. And number 2, I believe, and my friends are going to go after me for this, but I do believe, okay, let me make this case here, and I'm going to throw it to you. I've never made this argument before. Let's see what happens. One of the ways that you can test whether or not a man is abusive is after the marriage breaks up or whatever, he will withhold all the capital from his ex. Okay, so this is why we have to have laws with alimony and child support and things of that nature, because men, and remember, alimony, child support, etc., these came about during times when you had the single breadwinner, that type of thing. So the woman would be divorced and then she was completely fucking destitute. And so we had laws that forced the man to say, no, you have to take care of her. You can't do that, right? I would say that as a society, we're committing an act of violence against women if we do not support them in those desperate situations. Would you agree with that, or do you think that's a stretch to call that an act of violence?
To be honest, I haven't thought too much about the implication of violence, but like, yeah, that's horrible to not do that. So if violence means horrible, then yeah, it's violence.
Right? Because I think it pushes the women to be in a situation and make decisions that they otherwise wouldn't make. Okay, so you disagree with Francesca Minerva that we shouldn't be able to kill kids even after they're born because they're not persons. You don't agree with that?
That definitely crosses a line with me. Yeah, I don't agree with that.
So I guess for me, like, where is your line? Is your line human being? That's my line. What's your line?
I guess this conversation was the attempt to try to get me to help find that. I mean, it's definitely after the baby comes out of the womb. Like, that's well past my line, and then my line clearly doesn't begin where yours does, where it's like when the sperm hits the egg. So my line is somewhere in between, probably 8 weeks and when the baby comes out.
You're not a fan of the DNC abortion and all that stuff.
I got to do some soul searching on that. I mean, just because it has arms, heads, legs, maybe it's not, if it's not feeling, like, when does pain censoring begin? How bad do these women have it? Like, I want to know more about that. Like, if these women are just finding out at 6 weeks, then like, how many of them aren't getting the opportunity to even get the chance? And if I make a hard cutoff at 8 weeks, just, because I have that feeling, am I screwing over a lot of women that have a really bad position and need still to do something about it? Like, I don't want to make that call, right? Like, I'm trying to weigh two things here. So,
no, I'm completely with you. And like I said, I ran into, I don't want to say a dead end, but a wall with folks in my camp, because it's weird, bro. They really are resentful of even any discussion of helping these girls. It's unbelievable to me. So I take that conflict very, very seriously, and I think you do too. My only thing in these discussions is, like, how can we never center the actual victim of violence? Like that, I do think that needs to get taken more seriously. Like, we are committing an act of violence against a human being, and I got that line from my secular feminist pro-life person, a thingamajiggy. But I appreciate the hell out of you for even. So what'd you say? You were decidedly pro-life? I mean, pro-choice?
I said I was doing soul searching.
you were?
I mean, this seems like a semantic thing now. Pro-life, pro-choice. Like, I just told you, my line is somewhere between 8 weeks and
I agree.
So you tell me, which one am I?
Well,
what binary are you going to put me in?
That's very good. We should do a show together. I think I've seen this a couple times. I'm not going to mention any names because I don't want to out people. But I do think that the more and more you look into this stuff, I think you're going to run into a real significant problem with the line. Because if you say, oh, I feel this way and that's why I'm against the DNC, but you have no objective grounds to say this is the line and this is why, then I think you're gonna run into a cognitive dissonance that's irreconcilable. And I think that, I think you're pro-life. That's what I think.
All right.
But I also man, I'm trying to be really careful with my words here, but I feel like I identify a lot. Are you a secularist? You a Christian? What are you? What's your thing? You're searching? What are you?
Christian family, but yeah, secular is.
Yeah, I feel like I'm a lot more in line with the secular pro-life camp than I am the religious, my Christian pro-life camp, just because I don't get this kind of concern. And again, as a guy that grew up with a woman that struggled like my mother was rest in peace, but my mother was a registered nurse. Her thing was she had bipolar. So when she was on a downslope, we all crashed with her. But we all knew once Ma gets her head straight, she can walk into a hospital. She's going to have a job, right? So like my concern is for people like my mom that don't have the education that my mom had. And I couldn't find that in my group. I only find it with secularists, oddly enough. So that's where I'm at with it. You know, like I think you are with this issue where I am with like Marxism or whatever. Like I'm like, oh, I like that. That makes a lot of sense. And then there's other things where I'm like, I don't know. But anyway, I really appreciate this conversation, my guy. I'm gonna let you have the last word, and then I think another one of my buddies wants. I think DJ wants to jump on and tell me that we shouldn't support women who are pregnant. We should just ban abortions, but leave them on their own. Okay, go ahead. You get the last word, buddy. I'm sorry.
Well, I appreciate you, Vin. I'm gonna keep watching. Everybody else should too in the comments.
See, Jake said it, bitches. Watch my stuff. All right, buddy. Love you. Have a good one. Jake. The guy is legendary. Legendary. All right, here's DJ. Where is he? He says he's in the guest room. Where'd he go?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now, bitch. What do you want?
Hey. Bitch. I heard you saying that like I want a kid to die. Is that what you're saying?
No, I said that you want to leave these girls with no safety net, whatever.
How crazy is that? That's the craziest thing I've ever heard. You really think that I want to let people suffer, and that I want them to,
Okay, so you're just let me tell the audience who you are, DJ. DJ is
interesting.
Aside from Amy Lee, my best friend in the channel. He's like my real life one of my best friends. We talk all the time. We usually disagree on shit, but to be honest with you, DJ, I'm gonna shoot a COVID video where you're gonna be front and center in this COVID video I'm about to shoot. Because DJ is living proof that my mind can be changed, dear listener. Anyway, go ahead. What do you want to talk about, DJ? Go ahead.
Oh, there's so many things to talk about, man. We were talking about abortion for a long time, and I think one of the problems that we have in this country is that we assume people think a certain way. Like we don't have any love and feeling towards people in a bad situation, right? There, maybe like you said, a 16-year-old girl that is pregnant, and how do we go about fixing those situations? That's what I want to talk about, because it's a very difficult subject. Like where do you begin? We're going to fix it with collectively through government, and we're going to make some new law that's going to take care of some people. Then we're going to find out that some people weren't taken care of because we didn't think of everything, and then some people suffered because of the law that we made. And this is this cyclical thing that we do, right? Yeah. My issue is that. So where does this? And it's going to sound generic to some people because frankly, in this world, family is something that is. You come from, I'm going to say it straightly, like as Trump would say, I'm going to say it strongly. I come from a broken family in some ways, and so do you, and you know what I mean. Right? Yeah. We've lost something. This was not something that was normal in the past. One of the things that I say, and I've said this for a long time with you, is that, the breakdown of family is what we've really experienced in this country. It sounds generic probably to a lot of people, but there are, I've worked for people that were, it's interesting. I worked for a Italian company, a family that owned a company that makes a very, very popular bottle of wine in this country. This is probably about 10 years ago. I got really intimately familiar with their family. And by the way, I love the synthwave. Can I just say that? It's really cool. It reminds me of 2016. It's awesome. Good. But I worked for a family that was, it was an Italian family. They're really known for bringing in you've ever heard of Santa Margherita Pinot Grigio? It's one of the most popular wines in this country. I worked for the guy that brought this to Italy, or from Italy to the United States a long time ago. His name was Anthony Terlato. And I sat. Anyway, what I'm getting at is that their family was such a different thing. Like, you understand this because of what you experienced.
Yeah.
They went on trips as a family, like I'm talking like their, the grandparents, their kids and their grandkids. They all went on trips together. It was just this unified network that I just never had seen before. And they are all successful. It's amazing. Even now, if you look up their kids, even now they're very, very successful people. So I just feel that family is the breakdown here. When I was a kid, I remember I was like 16 years old. or maybe 15. I got like an earring, right? I got this earring in my ear, and I got so much shit from my uncles. I got so much shit from my uncles that I took that thing and threw it across the room. Now, should you wear an earring? Who gives a shit, right? But it's just like that kind of thing, to be able to police your own family at that level is what we've lost in this country.
I agree.
Right? Does that make sense?
100%.
So
100%.
That's what when I talk about this breakdown of family, I want to help people. I don't want people to suffer. That's horrible. I want to be able to teach them that, you've got to, this is very true. You've got to keep on your kids, and you're at an age with your kids that you've got to keep on them, especially in this age where they have a phone, right? We talked about this. They have 100%. The ability to go off the rails if you do not stay on their ass.
100%.
Today. And all these kids we're talking about, like these 200,000 kids in Kentucky, if that's true, we got to get into the metrics of it. Doesn't matter if it's true or not. Like, you can't assume that the government's going to take care of your family or your people. It's just not going to happen. They don't care enough. So we've had this breakdown of family in society, and I think that it's something that should be talked about a little bit more. We don't talk about it here anymore. And I will say, even as black people, I'm not a black person, whatever, who gives a shit about that? But, back in the 60s and earlier, everyone they were very, they had strong families back then.
Yeah.
Regardless of what was going on in this country, right?
Yeah.
It's funny, and the people are going to probably say I'm a fat shamer, but like, if you look back to that time, do you see fat people in photos? Do you see people were just so hard at each other, even at that level, right? It's just, we've lost that. Clearly, we're spitting out as a country, and I don't know what to fix it to. It is. But I think these kinds of things should be brought up when we talk about these conversations. Abortion is one. I do want to go back to abortion at some point, but I want to let you talk. So, go ahead. No,
I agree. I agree with you. It is. My thing is that, okay, but since we know that you've accurately diagnosed the problem. I've got a 16-year-old girl, no social safety net. What would you support legislation to increase the social safety nets? Not for everybody, but at least to vulnerable girls and women. Would you support legislation to get those girls as much help as possible?
So if we're talking about, rubber to the road, actually helping people and not this bureaucracy in between, that's probably going to fucking, rip everybody off, and it's just going to become a political talking point. Yeah, of course. I don't want anyone to suffer. I think that we spend so much money on our military. Like we talked about this before. We spend more than any other country in the world, orders of magnitude, for our military. We waste our money. Our money is, frankly, in the United States, if you're living in the United States, it's stolen from you, right? You don't even have a choice in where it's spent anymore.
Yeah.
So, yes, we have plenty. So this is one of the things that I have changed my tune on to a degree is like universal health care. Only because the amount of money that we spend being the policeman of the world, and I've been a Ron Paul fan since 2008, but the amount of money, it's ridiculous. It hasn't provided us with anything real other than more suffering and death. And I've been part of that suffering and death, and I watched my friends get killed, and for what? For nothing. For absolutely nothing, other than to the fact to realize that, if I don't realize that they died for nothing and we maybe fix something, then that maybe they didn't die for nothing, because we've realized this fact that they didn't die. They did die for nothing. and hopefully that will change. I don't think it will, but as we see in the world today, but yeah, we spend so much money on our military, it's ridiculous. It makes no sense in the world, and we're spending thousands of dollars on a hammer, and that's a whole other conversation.
Well, yeah, you got your boy Biden that I'm sure you just voted for. I was another $800 million to Ukraine.
Yeah, just print it. Just print it and send it.
I would much rather that go to some girl in Kentucky than to the Azov battalion. Hey, I didn't vote for him. That's your guy.
That's your guy. That's fighting word, but it's cool. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's like money isn't really money. Money is power at that level. When you own the printing presses, when you have a central bank that does this to us, and this has been going on for a long time, but it's only recently got very bad. And frankly, Americans listening, and anyone in the Western world, and even if not, the world is about to change. It's going to happen because we keep printing. I told you, 80% of all were printed in the last 2 years.
Okay, so can I get you on record saying that you would support Medicare for all? DJ, I think we lost him. DJ going once. DJ going twice. All right, he's gone. I can't hear. No, I can. Yeah, he's gone. All right. AC99, you're up. Just click that link and you'll be able to jump on. I voted Biden because I could not fathom another Trump term. Trump is not only the worst U.S. president ever, but also one of the worst humans ever. The world should celebrate the day he died. He's a Astaghfirullah. Astaghfirullah. God help you, Ben Webb. Why are you always wishing? See, that's the thing with you pro-death people. Why are you always wishing death on people, Ben? How about you wish on him that he changes and that he, becomes a better person? You know what I'm saying? Why you gotta wish the man death? Holy smokes. Who am I talking to? AC, if that's you, my guy, say hello.
Dude, do you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, awesome.
How are you, you beautiful person?
All fucked up.
How you doing?
Yeah, hey, can you hear me? I'm just adjusting my camera.
We can hear you. We can see you. You got the...
Okay, awesome. Sorry, I don't have a good setup for the camera. I'm doing okay. How are you doing, man?
You look great. You look great. It looks kind of sad, to be honest with you. A little scary.
Yeah, it's a little bit rough. I get it. I'm trying to adjust the webcam.
I got you perfect right there, bro.
Dude, I'm getting a bit of feedback here. Sorry, I know that I'm totally noob, but
maybe mute your thingamajiggy.
Yeah, I got it. Okay, cool. Hey, yeah, so I don't know what you want to talk about right now. I know that we had talked about abortion a little bit in the chat, so I figured that's probably what you were looking into.
You made a statement that if we criminalize abortion, we're going to have the same amount of abortions, and also add.
Yeah.
Okay, where is the data that justifies that?
Okay, so I have numerous statistics here. So, like I said, I didn't have a whole lot of time to prepare, obviously, but I do have some statistics here that talk about the fact that the U.S. abortion rate is actually falling, despite the fact that there's this left movement about abortion and that we want more abortions. I consider that kind of a straw man a little bit. I think that leftists want sort of, like I said before, responsible abortions, right? I think that as I am a Christian, right? So I tend to favor more pro-life pro-life arguments. But at the same time, we're not a theocracy, right? So Christian ideas and Christian fundamentalism, even if I agree with those sorts of ideas, and I disagree with, people using abortion as a form of birth control.
How come?
I'm sorry?
Why? Why do you disagree with them using it as birth control?
Because I think that life is valuable. And I think if...
What kind of life?
We can... All life. All life. Animal life, tree life, everything. I would ask that you give me a couple of seconds to explain myself.
Well, I'm just asking you a clarifying question, because not everybody believes. I mean, I've had conversations with people that said that the baby isn't alive when we're killing them, but figure that one out. But so you believe that in abortion we're taking a human life. Is that right?
Okay. Yeah, I do.
Okay. Go ahead. Say what you're going to say.
Yeah, so here's my thing. I believe that even if you have a moral objection to abortion, right? The statistics show that criminalizing abortion doesn't necessarily remove abortion. It doesn't even necessarily limit abortions. What it does is it causes massive health problems for women who are forced to have unexpected pregnancies.
Okay, what?
And like I said in chat earlier,
what report are you referring to?
Okay, here. Let me. I'll link it in chat actually, because I have spent all of 10 minutes researching the statistics that I remember. Like I said, I had like 20 minutes of preparation time. So that's a CNN article. Obviously, CNN is not the most trustworthy of all.
That's okay. Just post it, and then I'll put it up.
Yeah, I
and we'll
posted it, man. I posted it in chat.
Oh, it's there. I haven't seen it pull up yet.
Oh, I'm sorry, man. Yeah, I posted it into the chat.
What's the title of the CNN article?
It says www.cnn.com Health Abortion Restriction Laws Index HTML.
Okay, so I'm gonna try to find that, because I don't see the post.
Okay, word. I don't know if there's like another way I can send it to you, but
yeah, send it to me in email, vinandsori@gmail.com.
Okay, give me a second.
Or I'd have to make you a mod, I think, is the problem.
Okay, yeah, let me just email it to you here. Vin and Sorry @gmail.com.
Yep.
Awesome.
Okay, so while I'm looking that up, keep going.
Yeah, so my main thing is that I don't actually believe that leftists are necessarily opposed or in support of abortion. They're not opposed to pro-life arguments. The issue is that I think that the left and the right take very polarizing views on the issue. Like someone posted in the chat earlier, like, oh, if they had to have 3 psychologist appointments, they would not do that. That's fine. Like, as a leftist, I don't actually consider education regarding abortion as something threatening. I think that that's fine. My main issue is that if you look at statistics like the ones that I sent you just now, showed you, it doesn't necessarily even reduce the number of abortions, and it also increases the rate of female death, which we've talked about that, or you talked about that earlier.
I'm on the site now. Where does it say that it increases female death?
Yeah, here, give me a second. It says that laws that seek to limit may not lower the rate of abortions, but could make them less safe. In countries with the fewest restrictions, only 1% of abortions were the least safe kind. During the same period, abortions happened roughly as frequently in the most restrictive countries as they did in the least restrictive. 37 versus 34 abortions for every 1,000 women aged 15 to 44.
So where does it say these women are dying? Where is the women are dying part?
Okay. Here's an Atlantic article I can also send you.
So that one didn't have the because that was your claim. Your claim was that just a whole bunch of women were going to die and the same amount of abortions were going to happen.
Yeah, no, my argument was that it does not reduce the number of abortions and actually increases the number of deaths of women in countries where women or abortion is illegal.
Okay, and you're saying that's not this article you sent me. There's another article that says that?
Well, no, this article also says that. It says that that criminalized countries have only 3 less abortions than illegal countries. So what I'm saying is that legal criminalizing abortion.
Here's what I'll do. Here's what I'll do, bro. Because I'm not trying to be obtuse, but I'm not seeing where the article says that. So what I'll do is I'll put the actual article on the screen, and then you show me where it says what you're saying it says. Does that make sense?
Yeah, the issue is that I closed out your chat because I was having all that feedback. Here, let me send you this article as well.
Okay, so here's the first part of the article. It says laws that seek to limit abortions around the world may not lower the rate of abortions, but could make them less safe. So right off the gate, it's not saying a definitive, this is a statistical reality. It's saying would, could, should, etc. Hold on, let me finish. Let me finish.
That's a linguistic problem.
Let me finish.
I have multiple.
Hold on, let me read this.
Okay, that's fine.
In countries with the fewest restrictions, only 1% of abortions were the least safe kind from 2010 to 2014. That number jumps to 31 in the most restrictive countries, according to the report released on Tuesday by the Guttmacher Institute. As I've said, the Guttmacher Institute is reporting on Planned Parenthood. I use it. It's okay. A reproductive rights think tank. During the same period, abortions happened roughly as frequently in the most restrictive countries as they did in the least restrictive. 37 versus 34 abortions per year for every 1,000 women aged 15 to 44. So where is it saying that women are dying? Because that was the argument you gave me.
No, the argument that I was making was both that children are dying at the same or close to the same rate in decriminalized and criminalized countries. I also have statistics here from Quillette talking about. Oh, hold on.
So I've got
it's the Atlantic,
bro. I've got you here, and if you say, hey, I'm going to reverse that position, that's fine. But you explicitly stated that just as many babies were going to die, and that women were going to die.
I'm not disputing that. I also said that women will die.
Where is that?
Well, the children will die is the fact that 34 versus 37 children die in criminalized versus non-criminalized countries. That's the children aspect of it. I do have the women aspect of it. Like I said, I had like 20 minutes to prepare.
Can I ask you a question
for this stuff?
Can I ask you a question?
Sure. Go.
If I'm in a room and in room A 10 people are going to die, in room B 7 people are going to die, which room would you select?
7 people.
Okay, so even in this now, I'm sure you know I have.
You did not present an alternative in which no people died. So
just give me a second, bro.
Got it.
So in the report that you gave us, we had 3 less deaths with an abortion restriction. Isn't that true?
Correct.
Okay, so isn't that a better?
But you're looking at it as 3 less per the U.S. versus France versus UK. No, it's 3 less as a median.
It's 3 less as a median in the countries where it was restricted, between 15 and 44 years old, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's
do you
less,
have sex, bro.
That's less.
That's what I'm saying is that.
Well, hold on. I just want to make my point, and then you go back.
Fertile for having children.
I just want to make a point.
How many people after 50 have children?
Bro, I just want to make a point and we go back. So you said in the analogy that 3 deaths was better than that 7 deaths was better than 10, right?
Not given the option of no or less than 7 of deaths. Yes, I correct.
Okay, well, we're not in a situation where we're going to completely eliminate child mortality, right?
No, but what you're saying is much different than that. 37 and 34 as a median, whenever there's a 3-point difference in multiple countries, you're trying to get me to say that killing people is better than not killing people. No, I don't agree with that. I think that not killing people is the correct choice. But if there is a choice between 7 or 10 people, obviously you take the 7.
We're in perfect agreement. Okay, so then the goal should be to go toward less killing of people.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, but the issue is,
and then hold on, and then restricting abortion resulted in killing less people.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, so that's why I support it, because I don't want people to die.
The issue is that you're not looking at the numbers of women who die, children who live in poverty, and
well, get us the data.
Circumstances.
Get us the data.
All right, yeah, here. Let's see. I have an Atlantic article here about how many women die in illegal abortions. I'm sending it to you now.
Yeah, but what does that have to do with what we're saying?
It has everything to do with what you're saying. You're saying, listen, here's my deal. This is my major disagreement with you on this this item, is that not everyone is a Christian, bro. And
yeah, but what does Christianity have to do with it?
Yeah, it has everything to do with it, because your interpretation of what life is and where life begins is distinctly different from the majority of scientists who agree that a zygote is different.
Name me an embryologist that says a fertilized an embryologist who says that a fertilized egg is not a human being.
Man, how long do you have? I have to search that shit. I'm just saying.
Why would you have to search it? You're saying I'm disagreeing with the vast majority of scientists.
What you're saying is find an embryologist. I can find a consensus of scientists.
Well, that doesn't work, right? Because science is a multifaceted discipline. So, for example,
no, that's goofy. That's the same thing as saying that climate change doesn't exist because there are like 11 people who are paid by.
No. That doesn't work. Here. Let me finish my point, and then you can. I'll explain. If I'm a physicist, right? I don't get to say I'm a physicist, so now I'm an expert biologist. Those are completely different disciplines, right?
You're right.
Okay.
Completely right.
So
yeah, but the issue is I'm not talking about
an embryologist deals with that specific.
Talking about abortion. I'm talking about the majority. If you give me a second, I can actually find it.
Who specializes in the beginning of life? What scientific?
It's an embryonic, but the problem is what you specified.
What do the embryologists?
That I prepared. If you give me 10 minutes, I can find the consensus of.
I don't think we've got 10 minutes to agree with to wait. I'm sure you understand that, but you said the majority. You said I was disagreeing with the consensus. Were you just assuming that, or is that something that you have on hand?
If you want me, like I said, I had 20 minutes to pull up articles. I pulled up on children and women. If you want me to pull up articles regarding embryologists on when life begins and
I have them.
Kind of stuff.
I have them.
Okay, pull them up.
I don't know if you saw this, but I pulled them up during the previous call from Princeton University. Okay, so if you saw them, then you already know that I posted multiple embryologists who said this.
Yes, but the issue is that that's not the consensus of scientists.
Okay, provide us the evidence. It's not the consensus of embryologists.
Okay, good.
So you don't have that on you right now, is what you're saying?
No, because I had 15 minutes to prepare.
So then how do you know it's not the consensus, bro?
Because I have studied this. I have a college radio show. I do this all the time. Here, let's do this. I posted it actually in the chat just a little bit ago. Here.
Okay.
Do you want me to post it in the chat or email it to you?
Well, email me this article where the embryologists disagree with the consensus of the embryologists.
It's not the consensus, bro.
You use the term, not me.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, is that you're using the term consensus because you're talking about disagreeing scientists, but that's not actually...
Well, I had documentation of my claim. You don't, so we're still waiting for yours, bro.
Yeah, bro, I was given 10 minutes. People said, hey, go on call. Give me a second. Okay, here we go. Sorry, bro. I have all of my windows messed up. Here you go.
Here's Quillette.com for everybody while we're waiting. This doesn't make for good TV, but that's okay. Here's Quillette.com, and this person did a consensus study on when life begins. Since these sources suggest the most common view is that a human's life begins at fertilization, I designed a survey to understand biologists' assessment of that view. I emailed surveys to professors in biology departments over 1,000 institutions in the world. Please note, this person at Quillette.com has already conceded that the most common view is that life begins at conception. That's number one. Number two, as the usable responses began to come in, I found that 5,337 biologists, 96%, affirm that a human life begins at fertilization, with 244% rejecting that view. The majority of the sample identified as liberal, 89%, pro-choice, 85%, non-religious, 63%. In the cases of Americans who express party difference, the majority identified as Democrats. So this guy asked a bunch of pro-choice Democrats when life begins because they specialize in that discipline, and 96% of them said that it begins at fertilization.
Okay. I just sent you contrary evidence, but at the same
Where?
time...
Where did you send it?
I emailed it to you.
Okay.
It's a JSTOR article.
Okay, and the JSTOR article is saying that there isn't a consensus among embryologists about the origin of life?
Yeah, there's obviously not a consensus, bro. What I'm saying is
no, it's not. I completely reject your argument. We just read an article, and I just showed you from Princeton where that's completely not the case.
Okay, fine.
So I'm rejecting your assertion.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
There is a distinct
My brother,
difference.
hold on. I want to read the article that you just posted to me. I just got to read this to the audience. AC, here's I didn't post this article on purpose because I didn't think you'd accept the American College of Pediatricians. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they're not on your team. I didn't post it because I didn't think you would accept it because of where they are, but we'll go with that. Here's what the abstract says. The predominance of human biological research confirms that human life begins at conception. This is the article you sent me, bro.
Scroll down.
So before I scroll down, I just want you to concede that in
Bro, you and I agree on the fact that
we're not agreeing. We're not agreeing. Hold on. In the Quillette article that I just read and this article, you and I will agree that the author of the researched article is saying that the predominant view among biologists is that life begins at conception. You agree with that?
Yes.
So why were you telling me that consensus is against me when all of our resources are saying the exact opposite? I don't understand that.
Yeah, the issue is that I believe that the idea of fertilization and zygotes and that kind of thing are understood differently by the left and the right. And you're right. It's saying
Whoa,
that
tell me what's
majority of
understood
people
differently.
believe-
I want to understand what you're saying. Tell me, because I feel like you have a unique position that I don't have my hands around yet. Say that part again.
Okay. So to me, I believe that the majority of people on the left, and the article explicitly said that it was polling people's understanding of fertilization. It also said that it talked to biologists. I agree. Right? I'm admitting
And the
that
predominant view among biologists is that life begins at conception. That's the article
Sure.
used. Okay. So then I wasn't speaking against consensus then. I was speaking with consensus.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah. The reason that I wanted to talk to you, really, the reason I wanted to call in was mostly on the religious aspect of it. Like I said, I'm not like a super smart guy. I'm just a guy who has some opinions and talks on a college radio show. My main issue was you framing it as a pro-life versus non-Christian argument. And that was kind of why I really wanted to talk to you, is because to me, looking at the statistics of child death and parent death, I don't see it as a pro-life position to be for the criminalization of abortion, because, and this was mostly my point, is if children are dying at 3 less children as a median in developed countries, and we have the worst maternal care of industrialized countries, that it is, I don't know. I find the whole position of pro-life in the context of Christianity to be misleading, because 3 less children die in non-industrialized countries where we're talking like Saudi Arabia, where people are hung in the street for being gay, right?
My brother, your article is not a universal study, right? The article that you sent me about the 3 kids, and I have my own article that's not from CNN that is going to completely destroy all of that. But I wanted you to make your point because I wanted to see what point you were going to make.
But the point is that I wanted to make has been kind of, I'm not an expert in statistics. My thing, what I really wanted to talk to you about was the notion that pro-life means criminalizing abortion, which when we look at basic statistics from literally 50, 100 years, we see that that's just not the truth, man. Women die, and we look at statistics that show that 3 less children die.
How many kids have been aborted since Roe v. Wade? Do you know?
Couldn't tell you. I'd have to look it up.
Over 50 million.
True.
Okay. We also
But the issue you're ignoring is that you are an evangelical Christian. I am a Christian.
Why do you keep bringing up my religion?
Because your religion is what causes you to be pro-life.
My brother, did you not hear me talk about the secular, atheist, feminist, pro-lifers that are taking over the country?
That's fine, but I'm saying that your particular
my brother, even if I wasn't, I would be with those people. I don't believe
That's fine, but
that
I'm
we should
saying
commit.
that right now
So
your
it has nothing
position
to
is based on evangelical Christianism.
No, no, it's not.
No,
it's not.
It's not.
It's based on that's why I'm trying to quote embryologists and not the Bible. I didn't quote Psalm 139 to you when we were talking about this. I quoted the embryologist at Princeton University.
I agree.
Okay.
And what I'm telling you.
Here's my thing. I don't want to insult my atheist friends and say the only people that think it's wrong to kill babies are Christians. Nope. There are
That's
atheists.
incorrect. It's nonsensical.
I agree. That's why I completely reject your assertion. This is not about Christianity. There are groups of people in this country that say, "Holy shit, we're killing little kids. We shouldn't do this." And Christians do not have a corner market on morality. There's lots of people that are against this, bro.
You're
lots
correct,
of them.
But the problem is we don't live in a theocracy or an authoritarian country in which we can say your understanding of religion, your understanding of science, your understanding of these things is wrong. We live in a country in which you are okay to be wrong.
No, you're not.
It's okay to be.
No.
It is.
You want me to give you an example? You want me to
Sure.
give you an example? During the antebellum period, you had this thing called scientific racism, where secular scientists were saying that Negroes were a lower form of Homo sapien than white folks were. And you know what happened? The North went in there and imposed their scientific understanding onto the South. And I'm glad that happened. I'm very glad that happened. So when you say, look, I know the embryologists say the life begins at conception at a rate of 96%. I mean, that's bigger than global warming. I think the consensus is 92 for global warming or climate change. If you were to say, hey, everybody gets to kind of decide what a human being is. Nah, bro, that's not how it works. We get genocides that way.
Yeah, I can understand your point, but I feel that the instances are different. I like I said, I would
they're only different, my brother, if you dehumanize the targets of abortion.
I disagree. I think that's the fundamental disagreement regarding the abortion issue.
I agree. I believe that babies should be protected from killing, and you don't.
No, I do. I am anti-abortion, but I understand that it's not a policy issue.
Why are you anti-abortion?
Because I feel that, well, I'm not anti-abortion in every sense. I'm anti-abortion in the elective sense. I feel like here's one of the main disagreements that I had with you, is that earlier you were speaking with someone and you were talking about how late term abortions are such a massive issue, but earlier in the stream you had talked about rape and incest only accounting for less than 1% of abortions. Well, if you look, late-term abortions account for less than 1% of abortions. So to me, it was a disingenuous argument, and it was biased.
My brother, what did I say was the most common reason for abortion?
Yeah, the issue is that we agree on.
How come you never answer any of my questions?
But not agree on the policy.
Okay, you made a point about what I said about late-term abortions. Can I respond to it?
Go ahead. Yeah.
My brother, I didn't say that late-term abortions were ubiquitous. What I said was, Anna.
But that's a straw man, bro. Saying that the left only, is pro-abortion, I feel is so disingenuous. The majority of the left just
let me know when I can respond to you. Let me know when I can respond to you uninterrupted. I'll let you go. Just let me know when it's my turn.
Talk now. Sorry, bro.
No, you're good. I just want to know so we can have a good conversation.
Yeah, the only thing that I have is that you said 1%, less than 1% rape and incest was not worth worrying about.
That's a lie. I never said that. I never said it wasn't worth worrying about, brother. I never said that.
Okay. It's not worth protecting legally.
Again, I never said that. I literally said the exact opposite, actually. But when it's my turn to go, I'll be able to explain.
Go.
Okay. Because here's the thing for people to understand. People don't have to. I've been on air for 2.5 hours. Okay, so people are not obligated to be here for 2.5 hours. So if I say no, I didn't say that, that doesn't mean that he's purposely misrepresenting me. I don't know if he was in or out listening to something, whatever. Nobody's gonna sit here and listen to my boring ass for 2.5 hours. So I'm just putting that out there to defend my brother. It doesn't mean that he's purposely trying to misrepresent me. Okay, now here's what I said. Anna brought up rape and incest, and I said, Anna, you got to come up with better argumentation, because that's only 1% of abortions. But they talk about this. They go to this immediately instead of telling us what 99% of abortions are about. That's what I said. Number two, what I said about late-term abortions, in specific when I was talking about D.C., and I even went out of my way to say there are 6 states that do not have gestational limits for abortion. Now, what I will tell you is 1% is the equivalent of 15,000 human beings. So I don't think any American is cool with 15,000 8-month-old children getting hacked to death. So it is not the dominant form of abortion. I told you what the dominant form of abortion was. It was a dilation and curettage abortion. That's not a late-term abortion. That's not late-term. So I've explained this in great detail the entirety of the discussion, because I have all my receipts on me. So no, I don't think that bringing up rape and incest is a particularly powerful argument from abortion. The more people start looking into it, because they're going to say, well, yeah, but 99% of them aren't that way. I don't use late-term abortion as my argument against abortion. My argument against abortion is science. It's a human being. We shouldn't kill it. End of story. That's the argument. It's not, oh my God, these people are horrible because they're killing 8-month-old children. The argument is no child should die. I don't care how developed they are. That's the argument. So now that we have that clear, you're saying you disagree with that just being a human baby is not enough to warrant the protection of your life.
Not under policy, no. I feel that.
How does policy evade the moral ramifications of what you just said? What does policy mean in this context?
Not everyone agrees with us.
Yeah, not everybody agrees with legal with banning slavery either. What does that have to do with anything?
The majority of people don't agree, and
the majority of the people in the South didn't agree, bro.
That's why we have a constitution. That's the issue.
Right, and then they wanted to secede from the Union so that they could keep slaves.
Yes.
Okay, so according to your logic, then the North. So then the North did the wrong thing. Then we should have let them secede and keep those slaves. How come?
No, I don't think that, because we have. Listen, bro. I'm saying I agree with you about basic human rights. That's why we have a constitution. Yes, whenever the country was young and awful and had the most demented of worldviews.
Yeah, yes. But if we applied your logic here, we'd still have slaves. Isn't that true?
Not necessarily. Like I just said, there are certain rights that are outside of public discussion.
I agree. Well, okay, we agree.
Yeah,
and the right to life, the right to living. We
don't agree on what is outside of public discussion.
My brother, the right to living is the most fundamental right. There's no other right outside of living, right? You can't have freedom unless you're alive.
Okay, yes, I agree with you. What I'm saying is that the majority of the country is living according to their understanding of science. They don't have religiosity. They don't have.
They're not living according to science.
About a very small majority of liberals. The majority of liberals, 70% or more, support a woman's right to choose. Right? I have
to choose what?
Disagreement.
A woman's right to choose to do what?
To evacuate a zygote.
Why can't you just say what it is, bro?
Because I disagree with you on the fundamental premise that everyone has to hold the same belief whenever it's not about slavery, bro.
The vast majority of people killed in abortion are not at the zygotic stage; they're at the fetal stage. So we're talking about killing babies. You have a problem saying killing babies? You have to say evacuate the zygote?
Because I'm not talking about babies. I'm talking about a clump of cells in an early pregnancy.
Oh, okay. So I misunderstood you. So you're against abortion after 8 weeks?
I'm against abortion whenever a woman has had her period and missed it and realizes she's pregnant and can take the chance.
Oh, but you would
Yes.
pass a law to end abortion after 8 weeks gestation.
No.
Okay, so then
I
you do
wouldn't.
believe in killing babies then?
If that's how you want to frame it, I guess so. No,
Well, it's not my opinion, right? There's a scientific definition for what a baby is, and a baby is considered a baby after 8 weeks gestation. So if we're committing an act of abortion against that child, we're killing that baby. Isn't that true?
No, because there's contradicting opinions on that.
No, there isn't. There's no. Show me, get me anybody that will say that a fetus is not a human baby post 8 weeks gestation. Here, I'll post the definition for you. It's right here. All you have to do, literally, if you just Google fetus, it'll be right there for you. But I'll post it for everybody to see. Here it is. An unborn offspring of a mammal, in particular, an unborn human baby, post 8 weeks gestation. Okay, so when you're talking about killing a fetus, you're talking about killing a baby, right?
My point.
Can you just answer that question directly? An abortion.
In my opinion, yes.
Okay, so we're talking about killing babies. Continue. Go ahead. Go. You're up.
Okay. My point is that it should not be a policy issue. That the majority
Can you define
of the country
policy for me?
disagrees.
Real quick,
Yeah,
can you?
something that is in Texas where you can turn in your neighbor for having a trans kid, or
Yeah, I think that's crazy. Is that really the law? We got to shoot a middle America. Hey, do me a favor. Now that you got my email address, can you email that to me? Because I need to shoot a video on that.
Yeah, sure, happy to.
Holy shit! What do you do? You go to the fucking cops. Hey, this guy is his daughter's transitioning or whatever it is. Like, tell me what happens.
You sue them in court and turn
Holy
them into
shit.
family services. Yeah, it's rough.
All right. Sorry, guys, that we got
Yeah, we got
sidetracked. But go ahead. Continue your point.
No, my main point is that I personally, due to the moral influences in my own life and the things that influenced me growing up, I have different moral perspectives than other people. I grew up in the church, right? You did too. And I think that it is fair to argue this point on a moral basis, right? I think that it's more than fair. I think that it's actually correct. But I think that when we live in a country in which it's okay to be Nazi, it's okay to be, the most extreme levels of social degradation, that we then have this massive stand on an issue that is, though it may be agreed upon in literature that we speak about, it's not agreed upon by, I think, what's the statistic on Democrats? Like 70% are pro-life? I think that even like 40 or more percent of Republicans oppose criminalizing abortion. I think that the point that I really wanted to make was that we live in a very narrow sect of understanding.
Yeah, but why do you keep bringing up religion?
Because it's important. It's important.
Yeah, but
to
it's
both
not
of
important
us.
to me in this discussion, though. In this discussion, what I'm worried about is science and the history of this country discriminating against a specific group of people because I was one of those people that was dehumanized in this country. That's my problem.
Get
My
that.
problem is,
And I don't want to argue against that point. I
don't want you to
understanding.
argue against the point that I'm not making because you keep going back to religion. My point is, we should not be killing other Homo sapiens who have done no crimes. That's my argument. So if you want to argue against my main thesis, that's my main thesis. By the way, here I've got some data right here that says that in the 50 states, when we reduced gestational periods, we had a 3.7 to 5.6% drop in abortions.
Yeah,
and
but
that is in the United States, not some outside country somewhere.
That's fine. But what does that data also say about dead women? Yes, 3.7 to 5.6% less abortion.
Show us in America where that's an issue.
But bro, what you're not acknowledging is the fact that women are going to have abortions. Period. Maybe 3.7 to 5.6% less abortions.
Well, no, that's not with a complete ban. That's just a gestational constriction. So, like, for example, if we say you can go from 24 weeks to 15 weeks, it reduces it close to 6%. That's pretty significant when you think about 3,000 abortions a day.
That's okay, but that's ignoring the cost to women. That's the thing.
No, it's not.
Is that it is.
No, because your argument was just as many kids are going to get aborted anyway, and this says otherwise.
5%. Okay, you and I can agree 5% less. Like I said, 34.
That's 180 children a day.
Okay, yes, but look at that in terms of statistics. Like I showed you, the number of women who have
This is
died.
stats right here. And no, you haven't showed us any documentation about women who've died in America because of abortion.
I sent you an email about it, bro.
Oh,
moments ago.
Whoa. Okay, hold on. Let me check. Chill out. You've got...
Says The Atlantic, how many women die in illegal abortions? I sent it as an email to you.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me see here. Okay, so this says 40 Argentine women die each year from unsafe abortions. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, but you're not reading the whole thing, man. It talks about the U.S. too.
Okay,
hold on.
where?
I can clip it into the chat if you'd like. Hold on.
No, just tell me and I'll do it. We're in the U.S. They've got numbers of women dying in the U.S. because of this. And remember, we've got 180 children a day that would be saved versus 40 women a year. So I am taking it into account. So 180 times 365. That's 66,000 kids, right? So we've got 66. So while just for perspective, this is 5.6%, which gets us to 6%. That's 180 kids a day that would be saved from abortion. And you annuitize that comes out to 16,000 children. That's a pretty big haul. And you've got 40 women dying in botched abortions. So no, I'm sorry, I can't do math. That would be 65,700 kids a year. And I've got 40 women dying a year from botched abortions in Argentina. So you're saying
this article shows that the number is actually above 5,000.
Which article?
Before Roe v. Wade, thousands of women died every year, and because of extreme attacks on safe, legal abortion care, this could happen again right here in
United States of America.
Yes, here. This is from Alabama local news. It's not like it's from.
Did you hear the number I just quoted to you? You probably weren't listening. Can I tell you again?
Yeah, you said 6,500.
No, I was wrong. Let's see if I could do this. We abort 3,000 children a day. Sorry. Okay. So, what is 6% of 3,000? That's 180. So we do 180 times 365. That's 65,700 children. Okay, that's what we have. So you've got an article that says what?
5,000 women.
Okay, so what's a bigger number, 65,000 or 5,000?
Whenever we agree on the terms, it's more.
I'm looking for where's the 5,000 at, by the way? Is this the Atlantic article?
No, it's hold on.
Email me the other articles. The Atlantic article only has the 40 count.
Yeah, I pulled up a new one just now. Hold on.
Okay.
This is sorry, hold on. I lost my sources here.
Don't rush. It's okay.
I have like 4 different windows open trying to find different sources. So, let me see. Oh, here it is. Okay. Emailing it to you right now.
Okay. So you, I'm contesting that 5,000 number. I don't believe it, but let's say it's true. We've got 65,000 babies versus 5,000. What if you had to triage? Which would you take?
65 or the women, obviously. The issue is that we
so
don't...
the 65,700. So it's worth it to kill the other 61,000 kids that will die.
No, it's not. The issue that we are having is the disagreement on what I believe, what you believe, what a lot of people believe, and the majority opinion in the country. Yes, I agree. Sometimes majoritarianism is awful. We had a country in which...
Well, yeah, tell your trans friends about the majority opinion. Tell your trans friends about majority opinion. Majority opinion is not pro-trans, my guy. Right?
I don't have the numbers, so I can't argue that. But I don't dispute your numbers.
Right. So what are you talking about? I'm trying to figure out what you're saying, because you told me
what I'm trying
that
to
just
say
as many babies will die. That's what you told me, and that's not what the numbers are saying, my guy.
3 less babies die as a median.
Okay, I just showed you. First of all, that article.
But I showed you information just earlier that said.
Wait,
that
my brother, was that a U.S.
children.
based article?
But why does that matter?
Because what we're talking about is abortion
in the U.S., we become a non-U.S. article.
And I just showed you the document. It was right up there that it actually reduces abortions by up to 6% in America, and which is the equivalent to about 66,000 babies. So that's a significant number. Would you agree?
Yes, because I agree with your interpretation of what a child is.
That's not my interpretation. That's science, right? Because we've already agreed on that. Here's the part in question. Erica Sankin, a Planned Parenthood spokeswoman, directed us to a 2014 policy statement issued by the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists. It is estimated that before 1973, 1.2 million U.S. women resorted to illegal abortion each year, and that unsafe abortion caused as many as 5,000 annual deaths. Now, my brother, what was the period in which they were measuring these 5,000 deaths?
Since 1973?
It said before 1973.
Okay, but that was before Roe versus Wade.
That's the totality of deaths in our country prior to 1973. It's 5,000. That's the totality. We've been a country since 17...
Estimated, but okay.
Estimated, correct. And this is Planned Parenthood, so you know they estimated high. So let's do some math. We've been a country since 1776, right?
And when did they start keeping records?
They had medical records since before that. You know how I know?
Of abortions? No.
Yeah. You know how I know? Because in 1845 we passed legislation to allow for abortions of a quick child if it was going to put the life of the mother in danger. So
that's a significantly different situation than being able to go to Planned Parenthood and have an abortion anytime you want.
Let's skip 1776 and go to 1845. Because they were tracking at 1845. And since your statistician didn't give us a time period, we're just left to guess, right? Okay, so 5,000 divided by 1845 is 2.7 deaths a year. That's 3. Meanwhile, just putting some gestational limits can save as many as 65,000 babies per year.
but then that is so short-sighted. First off, okay, so let's talk about the numbers. Okay, you're right. Let's ignore all of that stuff.
I didn't say ignore it.
No, I'm saying for my point. Let's talk about this as if there were equal numbers, right?
No, I'm not going to do that because they're not equal numbers.
But what I'm saying is that in a theoretical situation in which, there were equal numbers, right?
I'm not going to do that because we're in the real world.
I'm doing that. Okay, so we have a fundamental moral disagreement on that. My issue is that whenever you look at the number of living, walking people's deaths, I disagree with the point that people who are walking and living and experiencing life are at the same level as the zygote. I don't.
Right. So you believe? Okay. This is okay. So this is. Thank you.
And like I
thank
said,
you for saying. So you have a stratified view of human beings. There's some human beings that are superior to others. Some human beings we can kill them even though they've done nothing to us. Other human beings we should protect. That's your position?
No, that's a straw man. But it's okay. I understand. Listen, I said.
Okay. Show me how I'm straw manning what you just said.
Because what you are, you're classifying me as some like pro-slavery,
I didn't say you were pro-slavery. I said you argued like one. That's not the same thing.
About earlier, and you're talking about a stratifying of human beings. That's not what I'm saying.
No, I asked you a question. I asked you a question. Let me ask you again. You said you know that there are human beings in the womb. But you think that human beings outside of the womb who are walking around or whatever, those people we shouldn't kill, but we should be able to kill babies inside the womb even though they're human beings. Is that right?
I feel that there is massive, including this scientific disagreement, which, like I said, I didn't provide the sources. I had 15 minutes to.
Well, you did provide a source, though. Your source said that there was scientific consensus at a 96% clip. On the other way. So you did provide a source.
Okay.
Right? The thing that I posted was your source, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, so I provided a source. So I'm going to ask you a question again. We both believe that the subjects inside the womb and outside the womb are both human beings, but you believe that there's one class of human beings that should be able to be killed even though they've committed no crimes, but there's another group of human beings who you believe should be protected from being killed. Is that an accurate statement?
Somewhat. Yeah.
Okay, so why are you saying I'm strawmanning your position? That you have a stratified value system of human beings. You believe there's some human beings that should be protected and other human beings who we can just kill them and throw them away. Isn't that your... What am I mischaracterizing here?
The mischaracterization is that I believe as the same as a lot of other people believe. Now, like I said, this sounds very weak, right? Like what you're saying is, we have this social stratification in that zygotes are worth being killed, but fetuses aren't worth being killed, and black people aren't worth being enslaved, and all these things. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that
I never said you said that about black people. I made the argument about black people because I assumed you believed in our full humanity and that you would be horrified by the arguments that were made by the antebellum slave traders. So I believe that it's the only reason I would make that argument would be that I would want you to say shit. I don't want to argue like a slave trader.
I don't,
But you are. But you are though. You are. You have to admit that. Because what you're saying is they're human beings, but they're not like us really. Right?
No, I don't think that at all.
Does a baby in the womb have all the same rights and privileges as you?
I don't know. They're not counted on the census. They're not counted on tax reports. That's my issue.
Right. So currently in our country, they're not, right? They don't have the same rights as you. Isn't that true?
That's correct.
Okay, that means that we have a stratified justice system. Isn't that true?
Yeah, but the issue is that...
Okay, so should that stratified justice system continue?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay, so you just said we have a stratified justice system. Should that continue?
No, not at all.
Okay, then welcome to the pro-life position. There's no way around it, bro.
And I think that's where we are diverging, is that I do feel that the pro-life position is the moral incorrect position. I just don't feel that we should enforce that on everybody else who disagrees with us. And I disagree with the fundamental fact that abortions are equivalent to slavery. I just don't.
Well, I agree. I disagree too, because if you're a slave, you could take part in the slave revolt, you could run away, you could do a lot of things. If you're a baby, you're fucked. It's over. You have no chance to defend yourself. So I agree. It's not the same thing, but it's the closest one I could come to.
I agree with your moral standpoint. I disagree with it at a policy level, in which people are forced to leave their states and seek other states.
Well, nobody's forced to leave their state, right? Those are decisions they're making.
The issue is that...
Isn't that true?
Yeah, you're correct. The issue is that mothers are also not forced to leave Texas because their kids are trans, right?
That's a different issue.
But
actually, it's the same issue. You know why? You know why? Because there are some people that believe that trans people aren't really like fully human, so we can treat them however we want to treat them. So they've got a stratified system too. I'm against all stratified systems. If it's a human being, we should protect that human being with our life. So I have the same problem with the trans issue in Texas, if it's what it is. And please don't forget to send me that email, because we need to shoot an episode. We need to shoot an episode on it. But that's the problem, is we have a stratified system of people that we can pick on, and because they can't defend themselves, especially in Texas, then we can get away with it. So you just told me that in this country that we have a stratified justice system when it comes to the unborn. You just said that. But what you're saying is, on a policy level, we should maintain that stratification, and that's where you and I completely diverge. I don't believe we should ever maintain a stratified system of justice in this country.
I think that, as I said in chat earlier, I believe that we're trading one problem for another. In chat earlier, I said that I'm pro-choice, but I believe that we have a massive issue as a country in supporting unexpected mothers, both sociologically and economically, right? I feel that every single woman should have the surety and the confidence to have a child, because they know that on the other side, that child has a better life waiting for them. My disagreement, and where I feel that we diverge, is that I feel there are exceptional cases in which policy shouldn't have the overarching solution. I believe that solution should, just like with trans people.
By the way, this is for you. This is not for me. But if you're ever in this discussion with a pro-lifer again, I would not quote that 5,000 number, because the article that you posted to me goes out and refutes the claim. Later on, there is no citation in the statement for the estimate as many as 5,000 deaths. So it's just a number that just gets thrown out there. There's no citation for it. But again, Planned Parenthood obviously has a monetary vested interest in putting that number out there.
And I agree with that as well.
Right. So I'm saying, going forward, just as a tip, I wouldn't use that number, because it's a bad number. Okay. So I'm gonna say something for 2 minutes, and then I'm gonna let you have the final say, because that's a tradition in Middle America. And by the way, thank you. So I respect the fucking hell out of you, bro, for coming on here, having the discussion. You know, I get a little bit animated in these situations, and you were like coming right back. I can't tell you how much I respect that, and that's the way forward.
I enjoy your podcast, man. I hope you know that. I only wanted to come on here because I feel like we kind of align on a lot of issues, but
No, that's
there's certain things that we disagree on.
Yeah, I think all of us. I think well, I don't know about all of us, but me and you can agree. Medicare for all, education, at least relieving student loan debt, right? Or at least putting a cap and saying, look, this kid's only going to pay for 5 years post-graduation or something like that, right?
Man, that's what's so interesting about your channel is that you don't come at it from a far left or far right perspective. That's why I wanted to talk to you, is I feel like I also fit into that category. I get ridiculed constantly for my perspectives on abortion, if you would believe it. Even as mushy mouth as you probably think that I am, I get obliterated by most people on my side. So that's why I wanted to talk to you. Is I thought that maybe we can't find exactly common ground, but maybe we could.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that abortion rates dipped significantly under Obama and then shot up again after Trump. I'm not sure.
Let me give you a little bit of background of me, just 30 seconds. I'm from Oklahoma, right? So I grew up, I spent my first 18 years in Oklahoma, where everything is terrible, everyone is awful, and some of the worst things happen, right? So I grew up in a different situation in which I feel that there was like the furthest divides, right?
Yeah.
And so to me, finding what I felt was the middle ground was like a peace offering, but instead it's kind of like controversial on both sides. So, like I said, I apologize for not having all the sources that I probably needed.
No, it's cool. I wanted to back up. I'm on PolitiFact right now, which do what you will with PolitiFact nowadays. But I did want to put this out there for people because you made a reference to this, and this I agree with. According to Facebook Graphic, the abortion rate per 1,000 women declined 4% in the Reagan administration, another 4% in the George Bush presidency. Then it plummeted by 30% during Bill Clinton's 2 terms. He's a Democrat, by the way. It plummeted to 30%, okay, and slowed once again during President Bush's 2 terms with only a 3% drop. And then it went back to a 26% drop with Obama. I don't have the numbers for Biden yet, but they're probably going to be a little bit skewed just because of the pandemic and other issues.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many problems going on with the COVID crisis. I mean, I think like alcoholism, drug use,
correct,
sex, all that kind of stuff is shot up.
I think we'd agree with this. I'm going to go on a limb here. If abortions went down 26% under Obama and the Affordable Care Act, what do you think would have happened with abortions if we would have got Bernie in office? They would have been so much lower. So much lower.
And that's where I wanted to go with this. It's because we both agree.
Hold on. Candy
economic
apples,
circumstances are so important.
Candy apples, they go down by, on average, 25%. When they declined by an average of about 24% under a Democrat in office. When it's a Republican in office, it declines in single digits. Okay, like that's just a fact. And we haven't even had a real progressive in office yet. Who knows what the fuck would have happened if we would have had Bernie? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying, man, we agree. If there was universal health care, if people had a
student loan debt,
soft landing, imagine the number of decreased abortions.
100%.
And that's my thing, is respect
we agree there.
Women, provide them with the resources they need to have children, right? Having a child is not just something that you do at 17, right? It's a massive investment. And so
it is. I've got like 7 of them. I've lost count. I don't know.
I've avoided them, luckily. but I just feel like the whole point of what I think the substance between our disagreement, right? The things that we agree on is that women, mothers are not respected. They're not provided with the resources that they need to have children. And it's a scary, scary, scary thing.
It is.
And a lot of those abortions,
especially if you're impoverished.
Yeah.
It's terrifying for these girls. They're scared to death.
I like I said, I grew up in Oklahoma, man. I knew people from Chickasha and Muskogee and all these places that, I mean, they have $1 to their name. How are they going to have a kid? They don't. Their parents have $1 to their name.
Yeah.
So my main point, if I can get one across, which I know I've made like 100 misguided points, the main point that I want to make in this talk is that you and I agree that mothers are to be respected and that having children is a desirable outcome of a pregnancy. That is something that should at all costs happen. But to me, there are circumstances in which life just is awful. And sometimes I can't fault a child for making a decision that will haunt my mother had an abortion when she was 17. It haunted her for the rest of her life. I talked to her about it, and it has influenced my position innumerably, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, my mother was 17, had a father who grew up on a dirt floor, and a mother who was like a school counselor. She had no money, and so I will not ever consider her less of a person for doing what she did when the circumstances were not there. And I think I think it's mercy, right? As Christians, we both are Christians. We believe in mercy. I believe that people can make horrific mistakes.
I also, as a Christian, believe in responsibility, but not in the way that many of my brothers and sisters talk about. I don't believe in this radical individualism. I believe that if I am party to creating a society where a girl is in that kind of a situation, to whatever degree that I participated without railing against it, then I'm partially responsible. So that's why I say we've done this, we've done X, Y, and Z. Like I said, I've talked to so many. Like I said, the girl that's getting shoved into the clinic. I have seen the sort of ridiculous, I'm skipping into the clinic, but the vast majority of the time, it's something they generally do not recover from. To this day, I was just talking to one of my friends, and she still struggling with it. Which is a whole other aspect when you talk about healthcare, because, you know, there's all the shout your abortion stuff, but there's no like, hey, shout your regret of your abortion and get a bunch of women around you to support you. That's not happening.
I think that's a massive mistake. And that's earlier in the chat, someone was saying, I think someone should have to have 3 counseling sessions before they have an abortion. I'm not against that, right? So, like, for me, education.
I'm also big on post-abortion counseling. That doesn't get talked about.
Absolutely.
I'm willing to pay for post-abortion counseling because,
bro, we need to have full extent healthcare.
100%.
Ignoring
100%.
the fact that women are suffering with this choice. And I think that even women who use it as birth control suffer with the choice. It's not something you can do easily, right?
I agree. I think there are women like that around that use it for birth control. I've just never met one.
Bro, I grew like I said,
I've just never met one. I'm sure they're out there. I've just never met one.
My man, I'm glad that we kind of came to a friendly end, because I enjoy talking with you.
Yeah, man. I appreciate it. Like I said, man, I love the jousting. I appreciate it. My thing is, I'm not a fan of stratified societies. They never go well, and people always die.
And that's
they always die in
bunches.
bunches.
I had never actually had put to me, and it's something I'll think about.
So. Cool. Last thing, what are your thoughts on post-abortion counseling? That's something that doesn't really happen a lot, man.
I feel that it should be in the same situation as addiction counseling or grief counseling.
Counseling. Okay, perfect.
Yeah. If you're against people getting well, I don't really understand you.
Yeah. Okay.
Awesome,
All right,
man. I really enjoyed our talk.
I appreciate you. I hope you call back. Do not forget to send me that trans article, because
hey man, I'll do that right now.
We got to get on that shit, because holy fucking shit, if you see something, say something with your fucking trans neighbor. Holy shit.
Cousin's trans, man.
Hey, if that's fucking true, these are the small government people These are the freedom people saying this shit. Okay.
Yeah, I'm a libertarian, except for I hate LGBTQIA.
Yeah, now we're gonna call these people up and get the
throw them out of the state. Yeah. Small government and all that stuff. All right, man. Hey, I really enjoyed our talk, man.
All right, buddy. Love you. Have a good one, bro.
Hey, take care, bro, man. Goodbye.
That's how we do it on Middle America. Strident conversation, debate, but it was respectful. It was respectful. My boy he was respectful. And hopefully I was too. Don't be mad at your brother. No, it was great. I really, really, really loved the conversation. Where my faith does factor in is that I am completely convinced we're going to figure this out. And I'm convinced we're going to figure this out in my lifetime. But like my brother said, we got to get on there and not be afraid to have the conversation, and we got to not. Let's put our facts out there. Let's put the data out there. Let's do whatever it is we need to do to keep to have the conversation and talking to each other. You're not my enemy. I'm not your enemy. There are people that are our enemies, but it's not us. We, dear listener, are our only hope. We are our only hope. So, yeah. We'll have a discussion on something less controversial for sure. But anyway, much love to everybody. Shout out to Sadie. Shout out to Amy. All my folks who are mad at me. Fucking Van. I hate him. It's all good. You still love me. Candy Apples always loves me. We're in good shape. All right, guys. I got to get the hell out of here. What do you guys think of the set? I like this little light fixture, huh? Type 22 if you like the lights. I like them. It's very, very futuristic. It had a little futuristic feel. So there we go. I really enjoyed it. Shout out to what's his name? Eccentricasti. He's all mad and stuff. Don't be mad. We'll talk next time, inshallah. I'm out of here. Oh, hey, Kai was here the whole time. Holy shit. Shout out to Kai. I'm gonna go check on my girl now because she's cooking baby number 7 or 8 or whatever it is. So, and yes, I do believe in birth control as long as it's not extinguishing the life of a human being. So wear them if you got them, or eat them if you got them, or whatever it is you crazy people do. Are you opposed to the Humanist Report? No. Send me, if the Humanist Report does a video on it, then yeah, please send that to me, and then I'll comment on the Humanist Report, and I'll put your name in the thingamajig. But that's who's the Humanist Report? Who's the Humanist Report? Pac-Man? Is that him? Is that Pac-Man? I want to play chess with you so you can cry like a baby. I don't think you'd beat me in chess. I really don't. But I do think we're going to run into each other in a couple months. So I'll bring the set with me, inshallah. No, that's not the Humanist Report? Okay. Then I'm off. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I told you I'm what do you call it? I'm unsophisticated when it comes to this stuff. I'll destroy your logical fallacies. I'm at work, by the way. Anytime I see somebody say stuff like this, I know it's going to be a fun conversation. He's a member of the LGBTQIA. Okay. Even better then. We got somebody that's actually a spokesman for the community. Okay, good. Send it to me. Holy shit, we're spying on our neighbors now. He didn't stand with force of vote. Okay, well, he's wrong for that one, but let's see about the other one. So I got to get all my all the skitty from Candy Apple. She won't lead me astray. All right, guys. Let me check on homegirl. I got to get out of here. Love you all. This is how we do it, y'all. Look, we got the most probably incendiary controversial topic. We were able to have 2 very good, detailed, deep discussions about it. Nobody called anybody any names. Nobody said anybody was crazy. Nobody yelled at each other. And we're still middle Americans. Everybody still loves each other. That's the way we're going to do it. That's the way we're going to do it, y'all. Okay. I've said that enough. You guys know the intro's on the way. You won't have a chance, bro. Well, I don't need a chance because I'm already here. I want the kid in the womb to have a chance. My heart! How dare you say you hate Jimmy Dore? Candy apples, don't worry about Ben. Ben is Ben. You know, he is who he is, you know. If it makes you feel better, he hates my wife. He calls my wife every name in the book, whatever. I'm going to eventually meet Ben. You put him in a headlock and then we'll be good. But Ben's my brother. He is who he is. Nothing you can do. Nothing you can do about it. All right, guys, I got to get out of here. Much love to all my folks. Peace to the gods. Vin out. In the meantime, love your neighbor. Take care of each other. Middle America, we are the media. Till next time, guys.